top lanes, it feels like you can first pick and feel like it's going to be very difficult to answer come what may, come what draft. It's just very strong in general. Then Flourish does land there onto Elk. But not too much more happening on that one. The early leads of JDG still good. Perfect, not unplayable for Weibo, assuming this bot lane discrepancy doesn't continue to build into something truly monstrous. I do a 2-item Jhin who's ahead of curve into a position that, with the exception of the Scion, probably doesn't enjoy the burst of this Jhin. Be taken lightly. See what the third item will be. I'm assuming something like a Lord Dominic's Regards probably wouldn't go too awry. Wouldn't hate an Infinity Edge either. Both those options pretty good here.
Just sorting out the YouTube stream. Basically, YouTube uses AI to determine a lot of stuff, and it gets it wrong. So it means that some streams can get wrongly taken down, like ours. Basically, there's an advert on in some of the breaks about the Riftbound cards, which sometimes gets stuff taken down because they think it's about gambling, and it's not. It's just YouTube has become more and more reliant on AI as time's gone on, and it's really bad for community creators, basically. So, yeah, I don't know. YouTube, get your shit together, you know, basically. Trying not to swear and broadcast too much anymore, but it annoys me, folks. It does. Right, let's look up landing against the Blade of the Rune King of Honkyu. He's only really got himself a little bit of armor in the tabby. Does help, of course, against the Jhin, and the Yone, of course, does, but not like you've got yourself that full armor item. Herald into mid lane. It's not going to fully kill it, but it will take 2 of the last remaining plates. Gold very much in the favor of JDG, but it's almost all through that bot lane. I mean, Gala and Vampire have just destroyed, particularly the Hank. I actually think Elk has been playing it out as well as he could do. It's just poor Elk playing with his 3rd support of the year. And the Hank clearly uncomfortable under pressure. This is why I didn't like the Corki Nami. It was a losing lane, and it has potentially lost them the game. In fact, I called this out in draft, and I said, look, realistically, you are buying into a very difficult scenario. Maybe you should have taken the Jhin away. Maybe you should have gone towards something which was a bit more laning focused than the Corki Nami, which does. It's strong in lane, but it's not one like of our apex bot lanes. And I think they really struggle for it. Maybe they should have taken the Caitlyn Elise and said, well, maybe we will get engaged onto later, but it'll be worth it. I think that they've ended up having, you know, the game taken away from them through bot lane now.
They have dragons about to spawn. That makes things a bit spicy.
Zucker's roaming down. Yone has teleport, can join the play. It's going to be started here. Weibo, typically, they've not done very well at dragon fights in this split. Yone takes top lane turret, gets some gold for himself. Will have to recall to spend that gold. Dragon goes down, so it'll just be top lane gold for Yone traded for the dragon, and the second one for Weibo, which is good for them. Now they can give up a couple of dragons if they need to, scale up on the Cassiopeia and the Scion.
They've got 3 grubs to work with, and Elk is now going to get chunked out a little bit. The Equalizer follows onto the Hank. The curtains get called as well, and this fish is in so much danger. Has to body block. Does JJ. He's got a Vault Breaker charging. 4th shot lands and brings JJ down about half. That will mean the mid turret
yeah, that's the real
well. That's really fresh, just wide on the Hank.
That's the real kind of goal there. JDG end up getting the inside track towards mid lane. They just want to chunk out. If they get the kill, that's a bonus, but it means that Weibo won't have the HP to defend that turret. So they get themselves top lane outer, mid lane outer at the cost of that dragon. They get themselves a lot of map control with that now. Weibo gonna have to play a lot more defensively on the map. JJ might go towards bot side. I don't know if they have the damage for this. The thing about the Cassiopeia Vi combination is that it's not as long range as a Vi Ahri, a Vi Aurora, a Vi Akali even, which can follow from very long distances. The power of the Vi Cassiopeia, though, is that someone is CC'd in front of the Cassiopeia for like 5 seconds solid, and that's death.
Yeah,
so if you get the miasma off of it as well, they can't flash away afterwards, so it's really nasty. So there is a very good combo there, but it's not quite easily as pulled off at long range compared to Vi's other kind of contemporary pairings.
Of course, the other thing is now the Yone is out of this rough laning phase. It's kind of got to that Blade of the Ruin King point. It's got the upgraded boots. We'll be able to theoretically leverage these 3 grubs, and Yone's always want to be one of the best grubs abusers because of his ability to unbind his soul and just auto attack a turret with ramping attack speed, which is kind of silly. And then look to really leverage a side lane win condition, which Xiaohu and Zucker will maybe not be able to do quite as freely. Again, the Cassiopeia has become a better side laner because you can buy boots, because she's got so much more move speed. She's a lot harder to lock down than she once was. As it stands, though, just leads to a good gold lead for JDG. A few minutes until dragon. The fact that they do have one of those dragons denied, an early soul point for Weibo, which could have broken that potential split push win condition just a touch. And the Yone is just permanently being sent into this Scion lane. The Scion just has to deal with the fact it's not a fun matchup. Again, he itemized originally against the Rumble, which means it's going to be a little ways off being able to deal with the percent HP of the Blade of the Ruin King. Yone looking for a Vault Breaker. Did JJ steal that one away? No, he didn't. It was Junja who got that with the smite. Prince of Thieves denied his crown this time around. Xiaoshu continues this 1-3-1, and in fairness, JDG are playing the map very wide, very well here. They're playing all 3 lanes fairly successfully, getting Wave shoved into these tier 2s, kind of for free, with Weibo struggling to find an answer for the continual shove and roam play that JDG have been able to find. There goes the look around this topside river. Baron is up. I don't think either team will necessarily want to start it super early, but then again, you have got a Corki, you have got a Cassiopeia, your ability to shred down a Baron fairly high there for Weibo, of course. For JDG, Rumble, Yone, not bad at it. Neither is an Inferi. The issue is you've still got the Jin as an AD carry, who's not exactly what you call a fast Baron take.
No, not at all, really. One of the things which really strikes me about this game, because, you know, I'm talking about it from the Weibo side because it feels particularly bad for them because it feels like the game has just fallen apart through bot lane. And actually, you know, mid lane did well. JJ's done well. I think Zucker's doing fine in this top lane matchup too. And there's a lot of things going fine for Weibo as the team which are the underdogs here. I think this is something where we flip it around to JDG though, where one of the things that we've learned about JDG is that, much like many great teams across League history, and, you know, JDG this roster of them may end up amongst them. You know, they've been international representatives. We'll see if they manage to get beyond just being kind of, you know, domestic competitors and being someone that can compete on the world stage later in the year as well, perhaps making it to MSI 2, is like many of these top teams, when someone gets ahead, the whole team can win through that player. And JDG can do that through any player on the map, really. Even Vampire. No, Vampire is one of these great playmaking supports who can make a real mess of a game by getting ahead on a playmaking support. They are a team which, in this game, it has been Gala that's ahead, Vampire, who's kind of helped him get there as well. And JDG just chill on the rest of the map, despite the fact that Honkyu has struggled, and they can play through him.
Junja will call the pack and eviscerate over the wall. There are Jin traps everywhere. It's a minefield in mid.
It is. This is, now, the thing when Jin gets fed, a lot of people disrespect this about Jin. When Jin needs wave clear, and he's not that far ahead in the game, he puts a trap on the wave to clear it quicker. He doesn't need that now. He's almost at 3 items at 23 minutes. So at that point, his traps can be used elsewhere for that utility, you know, like that half ward vision like Maokai does as well. It jumps forwards onto Gala there. Not a bad trade.
Decent chunk. The turnaround, though, does mean that Elk loses a little bit more of his HP. The traps are procced. They do manage to make their way through them, but Junja's now around. TP's coming to fly. Honkyu unbinds his soul, looking to threaten around this Skullcrab. They cease and desist. The Yone, though, needs to rebind his soul and ult away as the Scion was looking. Curtains getting called, though, and the play starts to get ping-ponged back and forth down this river, but Zucker now just tanks up the curtain call, and they're not going to find any damage.
Yone can teleport back. Yone can teleport back, so that ultimate being used, well, the 3 ultimates being used, that's such a big overinvestment. The dragon fight, once again, not going smoothly for Weibo like it has done in this split.
Did use the curtain call and the fate sealed as well, of course, but Junja can still threaten. Zucker is around with a large front line to work with, and he does have a tidal wave to back him up. Zucker eats a bit of damage there from Gala, who's starting to get towards some more armor pen. Call of the pack from Junja, keep himself safe. The tidal wave somewhat mediocre, it must be said. The Aqua Prism follow, though, onto the Rumble, gets a bit of work done. Yone gets it with a Q3, I think. And Xiaohu needs to dodge away from said Q3. The damage is good, and Weibo dropped the dragon.
They do. I think there were just way too many ultimates. Elk is now alone. The Neferi has W back up, and Elk can't escape this. So I don't really know how he ended up there. It was clearly not the best place to be. Elk caught out.
You know that picture of the turtle on the post? There's a little bit of that with instead a large forest animal.
It's like elevated beyond his ability to function. Yeah. Like, how did he get there? Sad things. I mean, Elk. That one's his mistake. I think the other death, and I think the being behind this amount of gold, is not on him. That one is, though, and it's a sad situation. It does stream a little bit of desperation there, right? Weibo, I can understand them trying to burst out Honkyu, trying to get that miasma down. As we said, Vi, Cassiopeia is a really scary combination if you get the ult into the miasma within range, but they didn't quite have the damage. Now Baron is actually being started from Weibo. Can they get this in time? They use the blue trinket.
Sion's not there.
Their red buff. Sion's not here, you're right, but he does have the ult to join them. They're not going to be in here in time, though, surely.
They're not. JJ doesn't have flash, does have ult, can maybe get here. The Fate Seal turnaround, not fantastic from Honkyu. Now this gets to Smite steal range, and JJ, of course he steals it. The Prince of Thieves finds another Baron take.
JJ's smite key is one of the best in the world, and he pulls out another such important one. JDG very nearly had the timing, but they couldn't block them away from the pit. JJ flies in, didn't even need to use flash or ult. They've got themselves a Baron on 5.
Then everything that was looking so good for JDG suddenly looks a lot more problematic. Junger and Gala both end up chunked. I was about to call out Zucker for his itemization. Who needs 2 MR items this game? Honku goes in, regrets it. The tidal wave is traded with the equalizer, and the Hank is left about half HP. Zucker in the front line is eating quite a lot more damage now. This needs to be a bit wary again. He's got double MR items. The Yone and the Jin really hurt him. JJ is now body blocking, and the Baron is going to have to be somewhat reset here as the health bars get a little low.
Yeah, I mean, look, Weibo, they unexpectedly got this Baron. They didn't get to reset kind of preferentially with this Baron, so they'll reset now with the empowered recalls, and they'll get back out onto the map. I mean, they think they have the timing. They don't quite. The Q to the side stops the ultimate from Honku, completely whiffs it, of course, and he's trying to do that for the CC onto the Vi, who just, it's a great smite, goes down to literally 1 HP. 1 HP is the damage there. And then, of course, JDG can't even turn for the fight. They've already used a lot to try and secure that Baron and keep them away from it.
It did crazy, crazy stuff, but it means that actually the gold lead that was building for JDG somewhat mitigated here. Still early lead for the side of JDG, but there's still 1.5 minutes to go. A lot of these outer turrets still to be claimed. We've only got a single turret, so you've got to hope they can bring down some of these structures here. At least one more would be a minimum requirement, one would imagine. The Sion now shoving up mid lane. He's finally got some armor outside of the steel caps and the Warden's mail. What is that extra wave clear, I guess, versus the Rumble with the Hollow Radiance? But I do wonder whether it was a bit of an overstep into that second MR item.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the second MR item was a bit too much. Whatever. He hasn't died yet, I suppose. It's not cost him his life, but it has cost him his preference, his presence in the team fight. Yeah, like his choice of positioning. I'm noticing that Elk is going towards that Dirk. I hope that's a Serpent's Fang and not a Collector.
It is a Serpent's Fang.
There we go.
Speak about it. Yeah,
cool. There we go. That's very helpful because actually, you know, the Collector is not good beyond first item, realistically. Just the maths just don't math, really. But the Serpent's Fang against a Karma always has huge value. Works against the Shield Bow and the W of the Yone as well. And the ultimate shield from the second cast of it from the Neferi as well.
I mean, literally everyone's got a shield. There's a barrier on Jin, the scrap shield on Rumble.
That's true.
Like,
yeah.
you know, there's shields everywhere.
That's very true. Every single member has shields. Fair play. They jump onto Xiaoshu here. Don't think JJ has the damage to kill him with it. He's actually pretty strong with the 2.5 items. You sometimes overlook Vi's damage because she's not like... Often when Vi's in the game right now, Vi is kind of shut down by a Jarvan or a Pantheon or a Shinzao, and the Vi doesn't get to play the late game. But if you escape the early game, and Jid has done very well, you know, catching out Vampire on the map, gets the Baron steal there too, right? Gets himself very active in the game. Then the Vi can legitimately be a one-shot threat at points in the game.
Honku not quite at Infinity Edge. That's a little bit of a frustration point coming into what could be a critical third dragon fight for both teams. We've got Zonya's done for Xiaohu, which I think is actually quite huge here to try and deal with some of the upfront burst of things like the Jin, the Yone, the Neferi trying to fly at you, which I think could have been quite scary. I do know that Elk got the Gluttonous Greaves. Actually, he's got a little bit extra sustain himself behind that, and the Nami can be quite scary. It will be Weibo in the river first, and JDG who are going to have to retake. There was a ward in the back of the pit that hasn't been swept out. That means it's going to have a bit more vision than they would normally. Perhaps the volume will be rising in the arena nonetheless, though. Finally spotted out by that control ward.
Junja looking towards JJ there.
Has managed to fight for some of this vision. He's still in that back of the pit, looking for Dark and Daggers, doesn't find it. It's a pretty dark river for JDG, all things said and done. Junja is still here. Is he going to have to eviscerate out? I think he'd rather not, but we'll now jump back on out. Xiaoshu being tasked with frontlining. Elk got CC'd by something and lost half his HP bar.
Jin W.
It was the Jin W. Honku looks for the Q3! Into the R. Xiaohu left low, but doesn't quite go down, and Honku has to reset. Tidal waves flying with Equalizer. Golden goes Xiaohu. Flashes away. JJ at the back of the pit. Can't stick around the 4-top. Brings Elk down to half. Decimating smash into the back line. Goes JJ looking for another smite steal. Will die for it, but finds what he was looking for. Soul point secured. Zucker, though, gets melted, so it's 2 for 1 right now. The Hank also going low, but not quite down. Xiaoshu goes gone. Flash for the Dark and Daggers just wide. The Deadly Flourish also just wide. Dogs go in, and in the end, 2 dead, but the dragon is secure.
It's a messy fight for Weibo again. They've not been really winning the dragon fights. They've been winning the smites. JJ is very much saving Weibo. Not actually sure if it wins them something like the game, though. They're still behind in gold, despite the Baron stolen earlier. They'd need to get another smite fight in their favor later on. As you were saying, you know, Elk ended up getting Jin W'd for quite a lot of damage. Garlet does a ton at this point. It's not a bad tidal wave. It doesn't end up cancelling out the Jin ult, though. If that had happened, I think that would have potentially helped them quite a lot. Because Elk got hit by the 4th shot, and I think with that, really hurt their ability to fight. Garlet, the fact that the Jin can impact these fights so much with just ult is really hurting Weibo.
And then they tracked the fact that JJ was still behind the pit, managed to get back in there, and of course Junja pulled off to get involved in the fight. Nice little re-engage and steal away there. They're very unlucky not to get an additional kill at the back end of it. But still, gold lead there. Soul point for Weibo, though. Hold on by some heroics and some smoke and mirrors from the jungler more than anything else. Xiaohu also survived the attempt on his life there that was pretty dangerous from this Yone, who is...
me scarred horribly.
That was roughly where I was going. Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. Well, we'll see whether Hongqiu the Wise can ensure that Xiaohu can't cheat death anymore. Nearly at that Infinity Edge. It's been at this component since before that Dragon fight. I'm assuming next reset from the Yone will earn him that Infinity Edge, which is obviously a massive spike.
And at that point, it's a single ult and then kill, basically. Now, the Yone's not had an easy time. I do think that Hongqiu has been struggling. I think that Xiaohu has had a good game. And I know we talked about this in comments earlier in chat, but I think Xiaohu has been underrated at points in this split, where he's actually had, 2 out of every 3 games. I think he's had a good one. He's had a good one here. He's got the full Zhonya's. The Cassiopeia can cause a ton of issues for a bunch of champions, as Hongqiu not going to get hit by that mouse. I guess aggro by the Baron actually loses a lot of his HP. Junja, though, does have a 1,000 gold lead over JDG. We've talked a lot about JDG and his smite steals. This Neferi is very strong. Doesn't have the healing boots. He's got the Merc treads, which I haven't noted about just yet. But, Junja has been a huge assassination threat.
That's been the play. Equalizer.
Oh, that's wide!
Very mediocre.
It's no one!
I wonder what they were aiming for there, but then so does the Cyanol and the Tidal Waves. Everyone just presses R in a panic and hits nothing.
Guys, we gotta go back to maths class. We gotta get out like the rulers and the protractor and stuff. That was not it, Sam.
Oh, the Pythagoras theorem is just not in practice here today. They can't find the angle, and triangles do not, in fact, have 3 sides in this game.
This is what happens when you try and vibe code on the fly. It'll be that.
Someone's gone to Claude and decided they won't do it themselves anymore, and it goes a little wrong. Backstep from Junja immunes the petrifying gaze, and another ult therefore goes wide.
Yeah, that's a really important W. If Junja hadn't gotten that in target ability off, he would have taken a lot of damage potentially if he got stunned. Yeah, that's a straight death into the Baron. This is where I think JDG really start to show themselves on the whole as better than other teams within the LPL, where they are just much better in these points in the game where they have to find themselves towards Dragon and Baron fights, push up different waves, have presence on the map, manage vision, and look for picks. They're better at this style of play than almost anyone else in the LPL. Even BLG can get kind of flustered around this kind of points in play. Baron's going down again. JJ, I'm sorry, mate. I think you're going to have to be tasked with another steal.
He's managed it pretty successfully so far. How good's the Smikey, and how nervy are JDG about it? It gets in your head as a jungler when you start losing those smites.
They actually called it off. It went down to a bit, well, it went down quite low, and then they pulled off it. I think it was around 6k ended up going down to there. But JJ's had his smite key very firmly locked in this game, and you can understand the apprehension of giving him another chance to show that off. As we get into another recall, there's a Randuin's in for Zika, and I know there was some talk about this item being kind of bad on a lot of different champions. Against a Jhin and a Yone, though, when they're permanently critting, it does make a huge difference. Now we've got 1 minute till Dragon. Weibo will be looking for the Soul. If they do win the Smite fight, you have an Ocean Soul on a Zhonya's Cassiopeia, and the Sion as well. It makes a big difference.
Xiaoxu just lost half his HP, but he's going to try and reset. It's going to be a little delayed there because the poison's going to make things a bit tricky. Should still be able to complete that one. Steal away on another cap. JJ, you menace.
That actually gets JJ level 16.
Yeah.
That's not negligible. There's a teleport now coming in from the Rumble. That could be bad.
God, the Aqua Prison is early though, and the flash out comes on forwards. And now Xiaoxu needs to go. Gon gets cease and desisted. Where's the Zhonya's? Finally comes on down. Elk's being burned low. Flashes out. They blow up the Rumble, but the Fate Sealed lands on Elk, who's already burned his flash. They try to get that kill and succeed, but now look who is trapped in the backline. It's Junja who gets miasmed. Nowhere to go. Xiaohu with the double.
And Yone ends up burning down too, so it's a 3-for-1. Elk does get caught out, but the teleport from Xiaoxu, we just think, look, JDG, they're better around this point than the top teams of the LPL. Look, Weibo, they're not technically a top team of the LPL, Sam. Weibo or Weibo, they can beat or lose to anyone in the entire goddamn league by their money. Weibo will get themselves Ocean Soul, and they should probably win the game off this point, Sam. So they've got like high HP solo laners. They've got a GA on the Vibe. For those of you who don't know the interaction, if you go down into your GA and you're on the Ocean Soul, it will proc as you're reviving as long as it's still active. And when you're in Zhonya's as well, it'll do the same thing. That Ocean Soul is legitimately game-changing here, Sam. The teleport's bad. The bubble is early. The Silent Q's actually not. It's pretty close to that time. It's just a very good flash from Xiaoxu. Onto the Baron now. And JDG, I can't believe they're losing in an objective game to Weibo with, the Hanku's really struggled. That's often where, Weibo would win through jungle support. But I think the last Twin Fans goes through and it burns him down. He burns down to the double burns. There we go. Baron taken by Weibo and Live.
Really, really good stuff. And Xiaohu had that such a great laning phase, been such a threat across this game. Finally gets a few kills to justify the individual performance. It's not even bad from Honkyu and Junja, right? They managed to find the combo they're looking for, but the fact that Junja then ends up trapped on the miasma, can't reset with the R, was huge. I always think Xiaoshu, that teleport should never have worked.
He was hoping that Weibo would go straight down towards Dragon, but they spotted it too early. You thought it was far enough away. Absolutely wasn't. And I think this is the kind of fight which JDG just cannot win, where they need to have Jhin-centric team fights. This is a 5-item Jhin. Gala is 504. He is the most powerful person on JDG. If the Jhin can be in the fight early, I think JDG win those fights. When we've seen him lead with his ult, with his W, Weibo don't really know what to do about that. Now the problem is, Sion's getting tankier. He has an Ocean Soul, so he's got basically an extra half HP bar you got to go through as well. I don't think the Jhin is going to be enough for that. I think earlier in the game, before the Soul, yeah, he probably would have been. Now it's getting questionable.
You do at least have Yone, Rumble, even Neferi to an extent with that Black Cleaver. You do have some tank killers. As long as the Jhin is hitting someone not named Sion, I think you're a little happier.
Exactly. So you need him to get W's onto Elk like we saw at previous Dragon fights. Get Xiaohu to Zhonya's early. That's a jump onto JJ. And again, the Ocean Soul starts taking. He's following forwards with the ult.
Oh, tried to drag someone away, but the Sion ult's there and Yone is immediately deleted. JDG try to find something onto the Sion, but they don't have the damage at this moment. They get about half his HP bar, but he is definitely getting to that tankier point. And is no longer quite so vulnerable to the AD damage.
This has got to be one of Honky's worst games of the split. He's really struggled versus... hang on a second, JJ going low, has that GA.
The Ocean Soul is so obnoxious, comes right back to being healthy. Had the Nami behind him as well. Zucker's TP'd in. He's got a monster shield on top of everything else. He's got about 7,000 HP, really. He's managed to back away. Xiao gets dropped a little low. Deadly Flourish just wide there. The Z-axis betraying Gala for a second or two. But the inhibitor goes down. JJ breaking forwards. Elk does not enjoy the fourth shot though, but he has got an Ocean Soul and an army behind. So a lot of that damage is somewhat undone. The Dancing Grenade bounces on through. Deadly Flourish lands. Can we follow? Aka Prison Force to the backstep. Fourth shot still there. Curtains get called, but there'll be a lot of people who can body block that. The Darking Daggers begin to fly, make things a bit spicier. Miasma is there. Zucker's going to have to ult away. Do we have a potential TP angle behind? No, not really.
No, so JDG, you gotta feel for Gala. You gotta feel for Gala and Vampire, who stomped their lane, snowballed the map, and through poor objective smites before poor ability to keep JJ away from the pit, and actually just a poor performance by both solo laners now in the late game of Honkyu and Xiaoshu, both overextending into the Cassiopeia damage, into the CC of the Sion and the Vi. That has thrown away the hard effort of this bot lane of JDG.
Oh, Honky, you dare step into Xiaohu's mana? This man's been running the LPL since before you were playing the game, my son.
And again, like, there was a comment at the start of the game, and I do understand this, because I think from, a lot of people's opinions, Xiaohu has been bad for a while, and Honkyu's been very good this split too. I think that Xiaohu has been underrated, and Honkyu, he has just beaten Cream and Shanks on the trot, but Xiaohu, credit to him. I think that individually, you look back to 2024 summer, I thought that this guy was literally going to quit because he was so bad. I thought that was the end of his career. Xiaohu has managed to bounce back more times than people have started. This guy is really confident on that. Almost dies.
Xiaohu's going to burn on forwards. Can he get the kill? Not quite. The healing from Ocean Soul and late game Nami is just too much.
Yeah, I can see Xiaoshu rather, kind of shaking his head a little bit there on the camera. Goes down, looks for an extended play, can't get it, and the anti-heal is technically there. There goes Zucker.
Trying to stop Junja, who's looking for a flank angle potentially to catch someone out as they went for this tier 2, won't quite find it. Does eat a bit of his health bar for doing so, but he has got Ocean Soul, and again, the Nami at this point is doing a lot of work. It is a level 15 Nami with a lot of healing and shielding power behind, and Ocean Soul.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the maxed out ebb and flow obviously very much helps. You get in towards hyper late game, and Nami, I mean, it's not as much healing as a Soraka, but it's still actual healing. The Karma on the other side of it is shielding. Shanghai Scrolls Jhin has a very cool recall there. Thanks for showing that one off. So Sam, we're going to get down to an Elder fight. So this game is not over. We're even in gold. It should be very much favored by Weibo. It should be. The problem is for JDG, they haven't got any of the flashes away from Weibo. And Xiaoshu has just used his own. So that's an important cooldown down. The Rumble, if he's ever caught out, he can't reposition, and players can flash away from his ult or his damage.
JDG's just also won pretty much every 50-50 in this game. It never feels like it's an even affair when it's JDG who's doing the smiting. Hold up, 30 seconds away. Baron, 30 seconds or so after that. More like 40, but in the grand scheme of things, close enough. 5 items for Elk, worth noting as well.
So that Serpent's Fang we already talked about, but that Infinity Edge, yep, that will hurt. Elk is not, look, it's not been a main character Elk game, but if he does get damaged now, he's a late game Cork. He does JJ fly over the wall, has the Death Stance. Death Dancing in Ocean Salt means he is going to stay alive a very bloody long time, folks. Dragon coming up now. Deweybo. How what it takes to close out the game? Well, they've had a mixed split, and Dragons have often been their downfall, but in this game, JJ's Smite Key has come out on top.
The issue is, with it being so dark, who the hell face checks the damage now? You've got to go into the Cassiopeia, the Vi, and you've got no tank.
Okay, so JDG, what's the contest look like? They're looking for Jin W's, they're looking for equalizers, trying to get the big damage down. Junja now stuck into Cassiopeia's DPS.
And Call comes on down, they went looking for the Petrifying Gaze, can't quite find it. Down to half HP is the Elder Dragon. Sion with the Q, going slightly wide, Junja back into the pit. We keep hunting around, the dance continues.
Oh, Junja goes low, very good big one there. However, we have used the here ult already.
Zucker goes in, keeps him away from the pit. Honku in the backline, feeds him wide. Good Valkyrie away, cease and desist, the turnaround play. The equalizer follows. JJ is burning but not down. Ocean Soul value is strong, 4,000 HP. It will be another flip, but of course, it's JJ's Smite Key that is again supreme. Prince of Thieves he may be, but king of this game he certainly is.
Xiaohu flashing over, trying to get the last kills. The Elder Dragon will start to roar. JDG had all the advantages in this game.
Flash from Honku, tries to get something, gets nothing. A final focused resolve will lead to nothing. The Aqua Prison is wide, but Vampire, you can only escape justice for a second or two longer. The long arm of the law comes crashing down on the support's head.
JJ has had a wonderful game. One of the best junglers in his time in the LPL. Much like Xiaohu here, can occasionally peak back up to that again. Weibo Gaming, consistently inconsistent. They're underdogs, but baby, that's where they love to be. JDG, firm favorites, drop in game 1.
Towards the Nexus we go. Weibo will take the early edges from mid lane, get the smites from JJ to hold them into a game where they were down 5,000 gold, and JDG look at themselves and wonder how on earth it all went wrong.
I think that's got to be Honky's worst game of the split, Sam. I think that the early laning phase, getting solo killed by Xiaohu, having to call over Junja, struggling to have teamfight impact. He counterpicked that matchup, Sam, and he got slapped. Honky, obviously he's a younger mid laner, but he was quite solidly second best mid laner behind Knight in the league, and that's a very good achievement for himself. And of course, you're never gonna like really call someone out for not being as good as Knight, because especially on the form that he's on right now. But really, a lot of that came down to smites from JJ and his play overall, and then also Xiaohu just bodying Honku in the mid lane.
I mean, it's the Hank being a beast, right? Just comes in and makes all the difference. Segafac's got it right in chat. No, to be fair, the Hank had a rough time still, but again, late game Nami got the late game Nami, and credit to Weibo for holding on, right? Like a lot of other teams would stop being able to contest correctly, stop finding accurate ways to find angles back into the game, and Weibo are forever Weibo, right? They are never going to not look for a way to win the game, rightly or wrongly.
And I know that some people will call out stuff like the Jin into the Sion, and maybe they'll call out things about draft. This is an utterly winnable game. When you stomp bot lane that hard, this game should be over. I think there were a couple of fights where JDG really struggled to have it be about Gala. And I know we were saying that, you know, JDG are a team where if someone gets ahead, we expect them to be able to carry from that point.
Sure.
I don't think JDG allowed Gala to be the main carry. I think that they engaged far past his engage range, and then eventually, you know, the smites went badly enough that the Gala Jin couldn't do the damage he was in the early game. And then, of course, in late game, it becomes a problem. But it was an utterly winnable game before that.
I agree.
I'm going to go into a quick ad break. I need to go take a break myself, so I'll leave you a stream, Sam. Feel free to do as you wish. And folks, by the way, we'll do a bit of a shilling before this. My name's Alex, this is Sam. We are actual in real life brothers, and we cast LPL for a living. This stream you're watching here is what pays our rent. So if you would like to throw a donation over to our Ko-fi, a subscription, even just like, commenting, subscribing, just to help us kind of be discovered by more people, it really does help us. I know you might be watching it just as in the background. We really appreciate your presence. Just being here makes a difference to us as well. I'm not going to do that much long stuff on it, but I'm going to drop some links in chat. You can follow us on our socials, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And if you are, maybe come back another day. It'd be cool to see you again. I'm gonna go put on an ad break now. You're gonna watch adverts now, or leave, but yeah. You good, Sam?
I am indeed, just phasing out a second there.
The food was really good, by the way. I
Thank
appreciate
you. It was sort of eggy bread with some hot honey eggs. And I used the last of our Bombay potatoes, a bit of an extra flavour.
I did taste that. It was good. It was nice.
Thank you very much. Tave got to be so tilted. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, part of it is like, how often do you just lose to Smite Key Diff as well, right? Like that game was over.
Against JJ, more than most.
More than most. Well, exactly. There is a reason we nickname him the Prince of Thieves. Like JJ as a jungler has been quite inconsistent. There's a reason he's been dropped from a number of teams. Like he was on IG and got let go. And I think it is fair to say that trusting JJ to be a consistent carry is not always a reliable thing to do. Certainly doesn't feel like he's got the widest champion pool that's super effective all the time. But the Vi has always been a great pick for him. And whenever it comes down to just smite fighting, there's very few who are at his level in the LPL. He is so good at that. That's still very, very elite. JDG got a massive gold lead is what happened, Soikrom. Massive lead through bot lane in particular. Elk still out damaging the Jhin somehow is kind of crazy, actually. But effectively, then what happened? You can see that gold lead up about 5,000 gold. The problem was that JJ smote away a Baron, smote away like 2 dragons, won them Soul, won them Elder, won them the first, like, won them a Baron that got them back into the game, and they had Ocean Soul with late game Cassiopeia, Sion with Nami behind front to back, where you just couldn't do the burst picks anymore because Ocean Soul was too much to get through. So early good. Also, Xiao had a really good laning phase, which really helped. Did we run some ads? We did run some ads. Wonderful. If you don't want ads, then subscribe, guys. That's generally the answer. We want ads. We want ads. Thank you, Esteban. Appreciate you. Get hydrated. I will do, Mr. Baneblade. I think Alex. Alex, can I have a cup of tea, please? Thank you. Cool. There you go. Sorted. It will be player of the game for JJ. Absolutely. Absolutely deserved. 6 MVP says quite a lot as well. I think when they have been winning, it's often been JJ being a huge part of it. And this one, it's some obscene. Some obscene steals the game. And give me a roast. Mr. Baneblade, you're named after a tank that is basically just a Challenger 2, but in space. And let's be real, that's boring. You could have picked any motorized weapon of war, and you chose a boring one. I mean, at least have some originality. Like, where's Mr. Warhound? Mr. Imperator class. Wow, 0-7. How's that? Guess I'm gonna go cry in the shower. Now, I mean, you asked for it. I'll turn the cam on here in the break just to try and deal with any potential advertisement issues. Hello, folks. You might see me. You might see me playing some Genshin in the background, but don't worry about it. I'm just doing my dailies. Oh. But did you win my 50-50? I did, actually. I did. I got Nefer on a fairly good pull rate. I already had a C2 Lauma, which was good. So I was like, do I want to pull? So I was trying to debate whether I wanted to pull for Linnea or Nefer. And I was like, well, I already have. I didn't have Zabai. I did have Lauma C2. So I was like, well, at which point I might as well get the Premier Luna Bloom carry to go with that. So I did. Generally, she sits with my Raiden, Columbina, Nefer comp and does Hyper Bloom shenanigans, but nice to have another option. And if I really do need Luna Crystallize, then I can sort of Navia and Columbina, which has largely been relatively effective. Move that over there. There we go. Yeah. Right, now I need to do my dailies. I realised I forgot to do the epilogue to the event. I did all the Primogen parts of the event, but I forgot to do the epilogue, which I'm a bit sad about. I meant to do that last night. I forgot. Oops. Oops. It's fine. I lost 3 Raiden 50-50s in a row. Rough. My Raiden's C3, so I would not have been able to do that with if I lost that many. Fun fact for Xerath. What is a good fun fact? Unfun fact about Genshin. Ooh. There is a book in Genshin that theoretically, if you read it, you're supposed to die. So there's basically this book that's like a cursed book that tells you about the existence of the planet before the current regime of godly powers came involved. And if one reads that, they get they get smoked by heaven, and therefore there's a load of random dead people throughout history who've died for mysterious reasons. It's largely through that. It's also why, in Nicole's teaser, she's talking about telling you all these books to read, and she's got this panic face on her, because basically in that pile of books is the book that would see you dead, which is Before the Sun and Moon. Go look at Before the Sun and Moon, or Before the Moons, possibly. Anyway, but that's what it's teasing about. That's what it's teasing about. If you want a fun fact, then the voice actor for Mavwika is currently learning MTG. So I was asking for recommendations. So anyone who's an MTG player, go give Mavwika's VA some advice. There you go. There's a fun fact. When is Nicole? About a week. Next Wednesday. Next Wednesday. There you go. Also, is the Nefa patch right now? Yep, Nefa, Laumat right now. Lauma's probably the better one to pull on by itself, but they're both cool. Any quadra kills in the LPL today? I'm not sure we've had. We've had a few triple kills. I don't think we've had a quadra yet. We had a couple people get close. Thanks for Sobwally. Appreciate you. I have 0 balls. The order that take number of balls out of a bag matters when counting. So when you're putting balls into a mathematical bag and then taking the balls back out, the way you take them out changes how many are left at the end, even if you take out the same number. Okay, that's one of those ones that probably logically makes sense, but common sense has like no standing. You're welcome. I needed to do something. Oh yeah, that was what it was. I'm a little bit silly. Where is... Beautiful. Right. Successfully turned my resin into gem format so I can get my prima gems for the day. Hooray. How exciting is that? Oh! Now to figure out whether I'm pulling for Nicole or not. That's the real question. I just don't... Problem is, I don't think she's that great a character. Any of these teams going to beat Faker? These two teams? Unlikely. I mean, JDG are a decent team. They went international. But I think at the minute they're in a... They kind of... There have been a few woes over the last couple series, which has been a bit frustrating. I think they have gotten better from the start of the split. Honky's been looking pretty tight, but they are still a little... How do I put this? A little too reliant on Junger in early games going well there. If G2 beat T1 first, yes. On to stage we go. Let me... change our audio around as well, because we have got players on screen. That likely means we should do that. We have that thing. Oh, come on. There we go. Thank you, Huya. Make this a little smaller. Pop this up a bit. There we go. We won't be in danger of covering anything now. That'll do us. Stretch! I don't have a mug, no. I think I put it into the dishwasher, is honestly what happened. Anyone else want a cup of tea? Alex is making them. Smite Steals won the game, yeah. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. I'm just gonna go check whether there was a post-game 1 match thread. I'm curious what people are thinking about it. Because basically it's just JJ being a bit of a go. As we are going to head into picks and bans here. Fortunately, I am here to provide you with entertainment and value. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Right, so. Do I pull this up a little bit further? Probably do. Probably do. We can make this a little smaller. Might be the easy way of doing this. There we go. That'll be more like it. Right. So, chat. Obviously, Fearless. All those picks are gone for the first one. Losing with the Rumble kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie to you. Get rid of the Nocturne away from JJ. I agree. That and the Via probably his 2 best picks. Best go buttons that Weibo have. And again, we have seen how reliant Weibo often are on JJ being the big mid-game playmaker. Going to get rid of Junger's Jarvan, which again I think is also quite smart. Thank you for the sub, Super Sign. Appreciate you. I think I got that correct. TF first pick. Fun. Okay, so worth noting, the Ashe Seraphine is through, so you could Ashe Seraphine here for Elk and the Hank. I don't hate. The TF, of course, these days is a flex. People who've not been noticing it. TF top is a thing again now, guys. Kraken Slayer AD variant. Destroys tanks, wins a lot of range matchups, is a great split pusher. You still get the global threat, very, very strong. But obviously, at this point, you're giving up quite a powerful bot lane. Fun hover of the Amumu. I doubt it gets locked in quite so early. Lucian Milio to respond probably is the answer here. You can cleanse off the CC. Ezreal Bard would be your other option. Bard gives Vampire more agency. Lucian Milio is probably the safer lane in terms of your ability to turn up to a team fight and get rid of some... Well, it's the safer bet for the draft, rather, in the sense that it allows you to then cleanse off the Encore, cleanse off the Arrow or the Beat Drop, and feel pretty good about that. You can also obviously look for a Mikhail, so between Mikhails and the Breath of Life. Very difficult to actually make the pick that's supposed to be dangerous from the Ashe Seraphine stick. Honkyu has largely been the TF player for JDG, and he's been a very good TF player, actually, particularly the team fight TF from him. Been excellent. That's a big statement. I don't think you might have quite caught that. Thank you so much for the tea, Alex.
Well, if you can hear that, I said I think Honkyu is the best TF player in the world.
There you go. See whether he's allowed to pilot it this game or whether it'll go top. Was first picked up here. The Azir debated for Xiao, who's just saying, look, I just need something that can probably manage in a TF, but also theoretically it being a flex pick, I've got to be able to just pick a champion that can do its job whatever. And Azir is probably one of the few remaining that can do that, especially with the Cassiopeia being down and the Orianna being banned.
Actually, I think Xiaohu's Azir has been relatively solid. Now, the thing about going for the TF is that you kind of forgo having something like a Mel for the Ashe Seraphine. And when we saw JDG use the TF very, very effectively versus BLG in Split 1, I think it was the second round robin where they had the TF. I'm trying to remember if that was the Olaf game. Ginger had the Olaf game. They just ended up playing around the gold card range advantage. You can't really do that versus the Ashe Seraphines. They have too much engage and the volley can catch you out very nastily. Hey, Solly, how's it going? Good to see you, Baneblade, as well. Thank you, Wally, for the resub as well. I'm sure Sam called that out to you.
We also had Super Design in chat also got us.
Oh,
Super
cool.
Design, we've got a couple subs coming on through.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you all. Okay, so into the second round, a lot of focus on top lane and jungle, of course, because the roles which aren't there. We're trying to ban away some of the more tanky disruptors in the jungle. The Scar and the Trundle can either drive you through walls or they can pillar you. And when you've got two very immobile backline bot laners, they can cause you some issues. I actually don't mind playing the Ashe Seraphine into the Trundle because you just CC him for forever, really.
It implies to me that Zucker's looking for a tanky option top, potentially, just because obviously you've got the Ashe Seraphine in front of you, so someone who can frontline feels pretty good. They can ban the Xin Zhao themselves, so we've got Pantheon as the last remaining AD skirmisher up and available off the top of my head, and that's probably not awful with the Ashe Seraphine in general.
Little bit squishy to go against the TF. If you gold cards you and you don't get your E up, you die. Now, Ginger, what does he think of? You actually could do something crazy like a Kha'Zix and just say, like, destroy the individual matchup. Lee Sin as well. Xiaoxi's likely going to get the Renekton here. That's a nasty one. I mean, you know, I've said that Honkyu may be the best TF player in the world. Xiaoxi is the best Renekton in the LPL. I'm not going to say the world because, again, there's a lot of very good Renektons out there, but I do think he's the best LPL Renekton. Yeah, he's pretty good. There are a number of very good players at that, but again, it's sometimes contested. And then the question is, do you go towards something like that Lee Sin? You could go Maokai as well, again, for a bit more engage. You're lacking that right now. Right now, your engage is like Renekton flank or gold card. You kind of need something like a Maokai. Maybe, I mean, the Lee Sin is skirmish. Does mean your CC's a bit low.
Well, Junja and GJ were both big Lee Sin enjoyers once upon a time. It'll be Junja gets a hold of that, and again, you know, playmaking's relatively good, but it's very pick CC. Very pick CC heavy. What are we looking at top? The Gnar can deal with the Renekton well enough. It's a matchup as old as time. Basically, as long as you're Mega Gnar, Renekton doesn't have that much fun. The 1v1 is fine. But the moment junglers get involved with many Gnar, a little bit harder for the Gnar to survive.
And for the record, folks, I would actually put Honkyu's TF against Showmakers. I think they are the two best TFs in the world. I think Showmaker is the other one, but I think that Honkyu's TF is so damn good. I think it is worth first picking for him. Now, so many teams are banded against him. It is those two, though. You're right. It is between those two in terms of individual play on it. The Gnar coming through. I mean, it's a hard thing to put into Xiaoxi's Renekton. This is the thing. Xiaoxi's Renekton is so good. It kind of doesn't follow the normal rules of the matchup. We're going to go for an ad break, folks. We don't get ads during the game. If you'd like to not have ads, please subscribe or, watch them anyway to support us. It gives us a little bit of money on the back. Weibo, not that tanky a team. Lee Sin TF can just kill you. I think JDG have a very good snowball comp. You've got the Renekton setting up for the Lee Sin, you've got the TF setting up for the Lee Sin, and the Lucian is also going to be really happy to have that gold card kind of stunning someone up in front of him.
I will say there's a little bit of a range discrepancy here, though. Ashe, Seraphine, Azir, even the mini Gnar, you might just end up in a position where you've got to make a play happen, otherwise you're going to get slowed down. Hell, I wouldn't even hate a Ryalize on the Azir to add more slows on your slows and just be really annoying.
You might do that just for HP. Does that quite a lot anyway. It often comes in as a second item. See what Xiaohu's feeling. He's likely going to play towards the backline disengage. Don't think this is really a sweep Azir game. Really want to see what Junja does on the Lee Sin, because last game he was second best to JJ. I don't even think Junja even played that badly. I just think that JJ was really damn good. Okay, into the game, folks, and what could be our last game of the day. Weibo on the brink of a classic Weibo upset, I suppose. They do this every now and again. Weibo Gaming, consistently inconsistent. You can joke about them all you want, but they will always give you something to worry about, won't they? All right, let's get into it. JDG, they lose this. They drop down to 4th amongst their peers. They have one last series to pick up the slack. Beyond that, it's very close between 3rd to 4th, 2nd to 4th.
There he is, the great goat of the Gyro calls here himself. Don't know his name. I should ask.
Yeah, we need to find out his name.
You know what? I'll drop Iris a line. She's normally a good line of insight.
Yeah.
Find out. What's the Jing Dong chat leader's name? Because they're very cool.
It's great.
Anyone in chat know?
Hey, thank you so much, Kenren, for the raid as well.
Grazie ragazzi.
Grazie ragazzi. Appreciate you all. For those of you that don't know, Kenren is a wonderful streamer and co-streamer and analyst of the Italian variety. We got to specify, but he is well and truly the Ferrari of the League of Legends scene. You want yourself like the fast-paced analysis with real style. That's your Kenren right there. Also, he's really fast in Uma Musume and is a top team trials player.
Is he an Uma player?
He's an Uma player and he's actually one of the best team trials players.
No way.
Yeah, so that's the thing.
When are we getting a Kenren versus Nymaera Uma rivalry stream?
I mean, I'm down for that.
I want
get
a clean
Raccoon to
race.
host it.
Okay.
We could do that. We could have Raccoon, Kenren, Nymaera kind of trio. We could work. We could work with that.
I can see that.
All right, Xiaohu getting a bit out-traded here by Honky at the early levels. Has gone for the lethal tempo. No surprises there. For those of you who haven't tuned in for the rest of the stream, I'd imagine you guys were over watching LCK or doing something else worth your time, which is completely fine there too. JDG got a huge lead in game 1 through bot lane because the Hank is an LDL support. He's come in kind of on short notice because Weibo's support Hung was playing very badly for a while, and then he recovered, but I think Weibo wanted to try something different, and the Hank has not been great. He struggled in laning phase. It is Gala and Vampire. They're a strong TV2, and JDG exploded the game through them, but Weibo was saved by the Prince of Thieves in the jungle. JJ stole Dragons, Baron, Elder. He did it all. He saved the game for them, and JDG are 1-0 down in the series.
Yeah, the Hank looked a little lost. One might say he was cast away and talking to coconuts.
That's wonderful, Sam.
Yeah, anyone who gets that reference, you should at this point.
It's not even molding, it's Spalding. Oh, God. Right, so earlier in the game as well, in game 1, I think there was a comment in chat which I've referred back to, and this is not to dunk on the commenter, just because I think it's a great conversation. I think it's to look into community perceptions right now, where Honky got blasted by Xiaohu, as in like he was solo killed in lane as Cassiopeia. He was the Yone and was solo killed by the Cassiopeia, and Xiaohu did a great job versus Honky. Honky last week handily beat Cream and Shanks. He lost tonight, but there's no shame in that, as we were saying. But I think Xiaohu has been genuinely very good. Every 2 games out of 3 is what I've been saying. But I think Xiaohu needs a lot more respect put on his name. Yes, he will have bad games, but it's not like that's the only thing which you see from him.
Xiaohu's just slid forwards. Not going to see anything spicy happening there. You can see Junja is racing over to his Raptors because there was JJ there with the Warden. I think they spotted him going in. They was a little afraid of him sticking around for that Raptor start.
Love how Xiaohu keeps the lethal tempo up. He's done that twice there, actually. You see that last auto attack there keeps the lethal tempo up, which means that if he wants to hard push, he can still get himself the full attack speed. Zucker's going really low, going to Mega soon.
God, does need to get to Mega, and we'll have it now. There's a Q that trades through on the mini Gnar, so will be less resists to work with. So Xiaohu gets a little bit more there from the culling of the week.
He's really lucky there because he goes Mega, then he gets fleet footwork for the full volume. Xiaohu is going to get Lee Sin queued.
just about wide. There's a cripple for a little bit of a slow and a chunk, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, hit the Q onto the minion. He should have been able to get that. Surprised he wasn't in range for it. Should have been able to combo that up for maybe a flash from Xiaohu. I'm not sure it kills, but it should have been the flash. But impressed with Xiaohu's laning. Great versus Honku in the first game. And like we were saying there, just keeping the lethal tempo up. Stops a really good recall there too. The Scorch, of course, would have kept him from instantly recalling there again too. Honku, he has to back off for another wave. He's going to lose a full wave from that. Xiaohu has been bodying Honku in 1v1 lane.
And that's after Junja was called in to help get that wave shoved and sort of give you that reset timing. Really tough from Honku now.
And I mean, Xiaohu, he just rocks up to JDG's arena and says, all right, bet. JDG versus IG and Weibo. Like these teams with, well, I mean, it's JJ last year and on IG, and now he's on Weibo now. And Xiaohu, when he's been against this team too. I mean, right the way from 2023, when Xiaohu moved from RNG to Weibo, started a new era for himself, his first time away from RNG. JDG have kind of been like just the victim of his like inconsistency, where he'd be like kind of dossing it a little bit at points, and then he'd turn up against JDG, and even the super team of 2023 had an even to losing record versus Weibo. And as the years have gone on and Weibo have gone up and down in form, against JDG, they've still somehow given them just an utter migraine trying to deal with them.
We have John just going to get this early dragon, though, realistically. Honku has at least also got Destiny Gate available, as opposed to Destiny's Child. It's not,
right.
We haven't got the KDA skin for TF yet.
Destiny does wait. Destiny's Child is a band, right?
Yeah.
What do they do?
It where Beyonce started.
Oh, right. Yeah.
A solo act.
Yeah. Child, because it's Children.
Say my name, I think.
Because there's that one like really famous song called Children as well. Just like,
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So in the 90s and stuff.
Yeah. Great song, by the way. And I hope that was a beautiful rendition for it.
I knew exactly what you meant.
Thanks. Yeah.
With that very sort of like slapback delay LCR going on. It's great.
Yeah. Wonderful that. I do kind of miss that kind of like, I think it's called Aero Wave, or like
is that the name of it?
Oh no, I think technically the aesthetic is, you know, like when you had like the very bubbly aesthetics and like lots of gel and like fish floating in gel and lots of organic stuff. I think that was called aerogel or aesthetics or something like that. Hang on a second, it's a hard trade. Beat did get dropped, and Gal is not exactly enjoying this musical styling.
No, he's not. He's not a fan of Aero Wave.
Fruitager Aero, that's it, not aerogel. That's an aeronautics thing. Fruitager Aero. I'm glad someone in chat has got me on this. No, it's aero something. No, aerogel is a very, very lightweight substance. What is? Oh god.
Hey, Macari.
Oh, god. Okay, no one. Okay, look, it's not aerogel. It's Fruitager Aero. That's it. Is it relevant to the game? No. Hi, Macaria. Thanks for raiding over as well. Kenran just did as well. So we've got a real party in here. We'll just catch everyone up again because we've had a couple of raiders come in. Basically, JDG had a huge lead through bot lane in game one. They were huge overdogs coming in against Weibo, who've been mixed. They've been, winning and losing against every team in the way that only Weibo really can do. JDG just beat Top Esports and Anyone's Legend, the other two top 4 teams, and then lost to BLG. So they played against the top 4, basically, the other 3 in them, and went 2-1. Really good for them. They're coming in favorites here. Weibo get smashed through bot lane. They lose bot lane tower in laning phase at about 12 minutes because the Hank has died so many times and they've dove Elk. The Hank is an LDL support. They've switched him in because things weren't going well with Hung. And despite that, Weibo, through Jejet, stole Dragon, stole Baron, stole Elder, and they won the game. So just in complete crazy fashion, Honku had his worst game of the split on Yone. They lost a load of objectives. JJ had an all-time classic, and JDG are now 0-1 down in the series against Weibo.
John just about to show himself coming down towards his bot lane with the Destiny Gate there. The Encore just wide, but the cleanse through from the Breath of Life means it'll be death for the Hank. Nearly very clean there with the Encore, but can't quite time it with Honku's arrival, and the Breath of Life turned it around rapidly.
Yeah, it does take the summoner off of Alt. They didn't quite track the Honku roam. One of the things I said in Champion Select is Honku may be the best TF in the world. The other person is Showmaker, as people have said. I think Honku could go toe-to-toe with him. He's a very, very good, particularly mid to late game TF. This guy is absurdly good at the champion. He makes an impact early in this game, gets a kill. Was getting blasted in lane, though, by Xiaohu, worth noting, who we were just having an extended talk about him because he's actually been, I think, very underrated. Has he been the best mid laner? No, but he has had a lot more good games than people are giving him credit for, and he's had a really good game 1-2. He solo killed Honku 1v1 in lane in their first game.
Price that bot lane gank there will be the top side grubs from Jirjir, which is no bad thing to pick up when you have got the Azir, will have the Nashers, and obviously the Nara as well. And we did see actually Weibo play a pretty mean 1-3-1 as things got a little bit later on into the game. See whether they can return to They're split pushing ways. Actually, I take that back. It was the Yone on the other side. So no,
Yeah.
I lie. In fact, that was. But they have got the capability to play a good side lane game this time around.
Not only do we take your raids, we also lie to you.
Yeah, unintentionally. That's that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes you just need to figure it out for yourself.
Sometimes I just deliberately mislead you to keep you on your toes, guys. And you have to pay attention.
Yeah, of course. Talking about some of the champions in this game too and the players with them. If you're not familiar about all of these players, Xiaoshu, of course, was at first stand. One of the things that we know him for here in the LPL is he is probably the best Renekton in the LPL. I think that Bin has taken a second place in that one for now. Xiaoshu is so good at this champion, has a 10 CS lead right now. It's like doing okay. But if you get snowballed on with a gank here, perhaps that won't last. He's just ran out of Mega as well. There could be a kick coming from him. He can ward hop over.
Maybe do that. See whether he can keep this wave away or keep Xiaoshu low. That's not looking great. I think he just needs to run away. The wave is going to have to just be dropped here. He's sticking around, but I think that's a little bold. Junger's still here. This is too far now, Zaka.
That's the rage bar. Xiaoshu takes aggro. Here comes the Lee Sin. Lands the Q. Pantheon's here, but a little too late.
Arrow lands. Maybe that turns things around. Flash for the Q as the turret shots came flying on through. Now Junger potentially in danger as the passive is stacked from JGL. Another empowered ability to get through. Junger will need to ward hop away to 1-for-1.
It's a 1-for-1. JJ picks up the kill. Xiaoshu picks up the other. So the top lane matchup has been snowballed for JDG because it's not Zika getting the kill. Takes a flash from JJ. No flash is required from Junger and Xiaoshu. Good arrow there from Elk. Ends up making it much more affordable. Encore not great from the Hunk.
I saw the thought process there, but it is just a little shy, and Gala did have the Relentless Pursuit available, so got to slide out and to safety. Of course, with Honkyu's roaming, that's just given Xiaohu a lot of free time in mid lane. I remember early in the year, people like Chovy was saying, yeah, Azir feels really awful. He's right back here at a point of power for mid lane shove again now, isn't he?
I think that a lot of the phase rush mages being out means that the Azir can kind of take longer trades versus people that can't just run away from him, and he can keep his lethal tempo up quite well. Unless it's an Orianna, you know, Orianna just kind of dunks everyone, right? But it's stuff like Syndra and gosh, someone like Victor have taken a little bit of a back step. Makes it a little easier for the Azir to lane against people with stuff like Comet instead. Junja now starting the Dragon. It's had a good impact here. Just that the JDG kind of do need to snowball the game. Now, the Lee Sin TF, very strong in the early game, but later on they don't have a crazy amount of engage. Dragon going down.
Gonna look onto Honku, needs to flash away to get the gold card off as well. That'll be ult down, attempted steal there. Elk's now gone pretty deep for this, and the turnaround can begin to come on through. Xiaohu's gonna get run out, does get gold card, the shield behind, looking for the kick, and they don't quite kill him until just now. Now there's a ward hop forward. Junja gets stunned up though, but JJ needs to run away. The Q lands, Elk now in danger.
Good
Flash
kick.
for the kick with the insect, and Junja makes the Lee Sin sing.
Oh, he's jumping forwards again. Q hits and he gets another. Junja took game one personally. From one EDG world champion to another, Junja says, thank you, my mentor, and takes down the other EDG world champion jungler.
That was a very clean turnaround there as Xiaohu wanted to punish Honky on the flank. Doesn't get him with the Azir shuffle, and then the re-engage is superb.
You can't walk up like this. The TF flashes away from the shuffle, and then your threat's gone. You're not bringing back down the Mega Nara, so you don't have a tank, you don't have CC. Xiaohu does have flash, and I wonder whether he should have used it there. Not that I think it saves him. I think Lee Sin will probably flash for the Q anyway. JJ uses flash topside, not really much disengaging for him. He very nearly gets out. In fact, he probably should have gotten out, but Junja, fantastic insect. Of course, he played in the LPL for a while. He was RNG's jungler back in 2014. Went there from the OGN, as it was called back then. A very good Q there. Managed to catch out JJ, who thought he was safe. Great goal to Lee Sin, and that's the snowball JDG needed.
And they suddenly find themselves up 3,500 gold, have 2 dragons to their name, and things look a little bit cleaner. Tabe has clearly gone and had a bit of a word with them about the early game shenanigans, and there'll be no more of that to be had.
Yeah, so despite Xiaohu, good early lane, I mean, Honky's got out of lane, Shinja's got active, the gold cards have been good, and JDG have snowballed in the way that they want. With a 3k lead and 2 dragons already, Weibo are not a great team at fighting from a dragon disadvantage. They are not great at dragon fighting in general. Even in game 1, JDG, the way that they beat Weibo the last time, actually, in the regular season, was just walking at dragon fights, kind of killing them. Zeka not here at the level 11 yet, doesn't get the stun. Here comes the Pantheon.
Here comes the Grand Starfall and the Shield Vault in. There's another passive there with the Mortal Will. Doesn't land as well as I think they're liking. Xiaoshu's doing a decent job of buying some time. And now look who else is coming on up. They're going to try and kill off Zucker, but it can't quite work. See, they get the assist. No, they don't for Xiaohu, but still the kill is secured. Very close, though, from Xiaoshu, and I don't blame him for looking.
Again, this guy's Redacted is really scary. Nearly gets himself a 1v3 outplay. Trades flash for flash, dies, so Sadly, not getting the most out of that. JJ picks up the kill. They are going to trade across the map. 3 grubs for Weibo help them. Of course, Azir builds up that Nashor suit, so he's a very good tower killer as well. I didn't quite see the HP on the bot lane turret compared to this one.
2 plates.
It's about 2 plates as well, so I think Weibo with the 3 grubs should just about beat that. Ashe does not get that ult on target.
Nice idea, but Garlet again has been very clutch there, and unfortunately, it's going to be still JDG who get there a little faster. They were at the 2 plates just that touch beforehand, so easy enough to run down. They can't get that topside play either. Now mid lane could chunk onto the bot duo. Potential ability to look for this mid-tier one.
Maybe. I'm not sure they can force onto that as heavily. The volley should be able to wave clear through a little bit, and they'll have to back off of there too. You're going to have to see some resets coming through from Weibo. The fact that they don't get that top lane turret is a big problem. Even with the 3 grubs and the Nashor Tooth Azir, can't quite get that. Of course, that's something which, you know, used to be a big sticking point or a big hallmark of 2023 when you had the Nashor Tooth Azir just hitting side lane turrets. It was a scoutism. Used to play around side lanes very, very well for those of you who are Scout fans from years ago. LNG 2023, very good year to show exactly how good Scout was in side lanes on his ear. Of course, Xiaohu, one of those players who was very effective during that year too, made World Finals with Weibo in that year. And something which that Nashor Tooth Azir has always remained a bit of a split pushing threat and very good ability to gain gold through those side lanes ever since.
That's a fair way of putting it. Worth noting, there was quite a funny little stat there that JDG only have a 61% first turret win rate, by the way. Gosh. Which just says quite a lot about this team in general and its perplexities in mid-game.
Yeah. JDG are a weird team. They're a weird team. I mean, they have a lot of very good individual players. I think the problem with JDG has been they've had so many back-to-back series where they've had 2 series on 2 consecutive days. The reason for that is teams are kind of flown out as groups, and means that they can keep the JDG stadium in Beijing open for 2 days consecutively rather than having a day on, day off. And it means that people can travel for both days. It's better for ticket sales. It's better for the logistics of it. But it's worse for JDG's prep. They're starting up the Herald now, and no, right here, this is their first series of the week. They've had a lot of back-to-back series, and means that, again, do we actually get false positives or negatives on them? We'll have to wait until playoffs, really. Getting the Herald here, that's a good start.
That it is. Gold leads all across the board right now for JDG, particularly in mid lane, where Honkyu has managed to start pulling ahead in that gold with some good kill involvement. In fact, he's only dropped involvement in 1 kill so far. Will now teleport bot. Zucker trying to get towards this Mega Arm will be denied that for a second or 2 longer. Again, still, Xiaohu's at a decent point in this game. He's been farming all the highest CS in the game, all those good things, but yet to really find his involvement. I think if it does get to 2 items, suddenly Seraphine with double bruises front and the Ashe Azir range, you can start to feel a bit happier, but just getting to that point gets a little harder.
Hang on, Xiaohu's teleporting. The Renekton's not going to be there just yet. Dragon's going to go down. The Renekton doesn't have teleport. If they can rush it now, then they can do it before the Renekton comes into the play.
Junja comes across the wall, flash for the kick, does get some people through the enemy team, but doesn't really lead to all that much, so it's a little bit of flash, but really nothing in the pan. They get the mid-tier 1, so there is that.
They get that, and they have the Herald, so that's going to charge into mid lane too, so they can actually threaten an inner. That's going to be recall stopped onto the Hang. No, they've already backed. So how to get out of this? Azir is going to go out. Can they survive with everyone here? They don't have a turret. Junja doesn't have kick. They're hiding out of vision as it stands. I'm surprised they don't lose anyone there, Sam.
I think Meganar coming with the Encore makes it a bit too spicy, especially with them being close to the wall. They get the Herald charge into mid-tier 2, so they do get a lot of plates there still.
They do. All right, so Weibo behind 4K, behind a dragon, but did get the 3rd one, which means that JDG don't threaten that early Sol. Next dragon would have been their 4th for JDG if they were to claim this one, which had just gone. So where's that gold lead? A lot of it's in mid lane. Now, about 750 gold. That's about half of that is from farm, because it's the TF passive.
Yeah.
For every 100 CS, you get about 500 gold from it. He's getting up to about 200, so he's getting up to like a little below 1,000 right now. So he's more like 700 gold ahead.
Which is still significant.
Which is still significant. It's the first kill, and it's the tower. The Hank Buddy, you can't be there.
Oh, he doesn't have flash as Junja, so his actual ability to get behind there was somewhat limited. So the Hank gets away with it and puts the ward down, which is kind of nice. Whether they'll be able to defend it or not is another matter. But Junja, you also have to be a little careful about walking forwards there.
Getting to the point where actually the face check of both the Pantheon and the Lee Sin is really scary. Zucker's pushing in the Twisted Fate. The Twisted Fate's not there. A lot of JDG's combos harder to land without that gold card.
Xiaoshu's here. Got a stride breaker. The Scuttle Crab's being fought over, and I think it'll just be given over to Junja here.
Yeah, very good rotation there from JDG. Did see that Zucker doing pretty well, you know, keeping Honky from doing much himself. He's got himself that Lichbane and the Rod of Ages. He's scary, and we did say that Honky, very, very good TF plays. Our best one in the LPL, and I think he's one of the best in the world, perhaps the best in the world. I'd love to see him versus Showmaker if Showmaker and both him make it internationally. The problem is that This is one of the problems with Fearless. We don't get to see them both playing TF in the series.
It's very annoying.
I know people like Fearless now. I think I want to see people playing their best champions more often because I want to see really good League of Legends with people playing their best champions. Call me a purist, why don't you? Anyway, Ginger's up here. JJ is as well defending his mid lane and top lane.
Well, they will do a good job of defending that one. Also, Raiders, hello. We've had a couple of you guys come in, which is very lovely of you all for being here. If you've yet to hit that follow button, please do. We're on the rush for 11,000 followers. And if you're enjoying what you're hearing,
for sure.
Been here a few minutes at this point. You stuck around long enough to listen. Elk has stuck around too long into this turret. Will throw an arrow out, but it's only onto the Milio, and that doesn't really stop anyone doing damage to his head.
Honky, great ult there. You wouldn't think he would dive onto an inner turret, but it works very well. They weren't in position. Great pick off by Honky, again showcasing how good he is at choosing his locations to ult with TF. Again, for someone who's very new to the pro scene, it's only his second year of tier 1 pro play. This guy's got really good game instincts, Sam. He is a real prodigy in the true sense of it. This isn't a person who's like come out of tier 2 and needs like a while to improve. He immediately came out of the woodwork and was just top tier. This guy has been very, very good. Of course, he was in the LCP last year, but he was globally relevant from the LCP, which is a hard thing to do. Thank you for the thank you so much for the follow there too.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Now, for those of you who follow mainly LCK stuff or a bit of a mix of things, basically we will be watching LPL every single day. We'll be casting it like an official broadcast because there is no official broadcast anymore. I've cast several thousand LPL games now since 2023 when I was there as an official caster, and I've started doing it on my own stream here too. Xiao, who's going to get this top lane out turret, some more gold. I'm going to wait for it to die a little bit more slowly. But yeah, if you just want that consistent LPL broadcast experience, we're going to bring that to you here. Junja's going down towards okay, he's getting Mega, but can he get it in time?
Going to be pretty close here. Kicked into the wall, though, and that will deny any turnarounds there. My new follower as well. Dong Dong, I wish I could watch Knight Syndra every game. No, I don't blame you. I wish I could too. It's rather good.
Knight's Ari, Faker's is it, Chovy's is it. These great champions. I want to see more of them. The Ashe are going wide. Not quite on the mark there for onto Honky. Elk. Now, we should probably talk about Elk too, because every time I look at Weibo games, eventually we have to come around to the conversation about Elk, because he was on BLG for, the golden era for them. But he wasn't there for the first international tournament because he's been replaced by Viper. And there's, I suppose, no shame in being replaced by one of the greatest AD carries of all time. I think Viper was the best AD carry of 2025. Now, on BLG, I actually think his form's been about the place, actually. I don't think he's been
good, but not great, yeah.
Well, I would say he's been, for his standards, I would expect a lot more.
Now, I can agree with that.
But any other AD carry standards, yeah, he's doing an awful lot playing in the 1v1, kind of taking the backup role in a way that many AD carries would struggle to do so. But look, Elk was there when they rose to greatness. And the fact that he's now seen them get that success, and now he's stuck on this Weibo with his third support of the year, despite in Split 1, for those of you who didn't watch Split 1, for regular season, he was the best AD carry, I think, maybe in the world.
His Kai'Sa was superb.
His Kai'Sa was getting 15 kills a game, and he played like 5 games of it, so, Yeah. So, can Elk do anything in this team fight? We'll see. His Ashe is still down. Dragon up, JDG looking for that flank on the Renekton.
Xiaoxi with the Mega Shield for about 30 seconds. Dragon coming on, will be soul point for JDG. Worth noting, Weibo did get that last Dragon, so will have denied soul point, at least at this point. Look for Honky on the flank. They know he's there. There's the Aegis Assault to block out some of the culling. The gold card lands onto the Azir. They got to back off now. That's a lot of damage. Maybe the Seraphine will be enough shield.
They lost the Mega Gnar. The Mega Gnar's been down. It's going to be a 2-1 cooldown. They're not going to be able to get close for the steal. Weibo's objective fights haven't been great, Sam. I think that timing the Mega Gnar there incorrectly is a huge negative to them. They spotted it out with the TF ult, so it's not like they were playing with any kind of like hidden mind games or anything. Weibo just walk up and they do something. So if you haven't seen us on the channel, well, we refer to something called Safari League of Legends, where if you look to your left, you'll see this wonderful wildlife. Don't interact with it. Of course, no, you'll see this wonderful dragon. Don't touch it. Don't go towards it.
No.
We're here to watch the dragon, not kill the dragon or anyone around it. That's Safari League of Legends. You go to watch the wildlife, you don't interact.
And here we have the wild enemy team working together to bring down the large apex predator.
The migration of the jungler from the bot river back to base, and then back onto the map. How extraordinary.
Happy 100th birthday to David Attenborough, wherever you are, by the way.
I grew up on Blue Planet, man. I grew up on that stuff. Fantastic narrator. The greatest narrator of all time.
I've been trying to find a soundbite, Alex.
Yeah?
And it's the old BBC documentary soundbite from Blue Planet.
Yeah. I don't remember what you're actually thinking about,
but I remember when the BBC logo comes up and there's the big wavy...
I don't remember it, Sam. I remember the Eyewitness, the one. I'm gonna stop it there. But
that one I found. I found that one. I haven't found the BBC noise.
Fantastic. I have very fond memories of it, and I do like documentaries, Sam. I'm a big fan of them, and I witnessed that was when like you had a substitute teacher that'd wheel out like the cathode ray tube TV, the big old box, and they just put something on to like distract you for half an hour. Great stuff. Gosh. Okay, so the game slowed down because the dragon's off and we're playing around dragon timers. It's a 6,000 gold lead for JDG, and this time Weibo are finding it much harder to stand on the objectives. That Xiaoshu on a flank. He does have ultimate ready if he wants it. His Rage is in an okay spot. He could pop the ult. Rage is starting to ebb away now. He'd have to start popping his ult early to get back up towards red.
The thing is, I thought that JDG were going to get outranged. And in some ways they are, but Honku being so fair with the rapid fire cannon means that these are just so much damage.
Wait, I need to roast Sam's impression. I think he just does it himself, right? You know? Like, I mean,
I can't hear you over my incredible
Sam, we were asking for, like, you know, like David Attenborough, not like dusted up lungs, Sam. Right. Dolcar potentially coming up on Zerka, hops away, has the Tabby, not the Merc Tread, so he takes the full duration of the CC.
Yeah, well, Zareth just doesn't know impressions, clearly.
Now, he does have tenacity from the Starks, though, it's worth noting. And blue buff taken by JDG, next gold card, it's onto the Azir!
Does manage to slide away, though, gets Mikhailed up, that gets him out to safety, so they can't quite get what they're looking for.
That was genuinely quite scary there. Honku, this is the point of the game. 3-item Twisted Fate, where he is at his strongest, and Honku is very, very strong on the Azir. Anyway, that arrow is going towards the Renekton. Misses.
Thought it was a wide angle, and I had kind of lost track of where Xiaoshu was, and gets away with an attempted look in there. Thank you for the follows again, guys. Just mean a hell of a lot. And it goes, if you have not done so again, I will just shout out. Always appreciate it to those who do join us.
Getting pretty hyped though these last few plays, which have ended up in nothing. So I've been jumping up in volume just because you can see how quickly these plays can elapse, right? Where you know, an Asher can come out of nowhere, an Encore potentially could do too. Now JDG kind of need to look for those quick plays because their full engage is just the gold card. It's very hard to play around anything else. You've got your Renekton flanks. That's the other big thing. Xiaoshu will be looking for those later into the game, and he does have a good amount of gold to spend with that. The Stridebreaker Shojin is a very powerful build to work with there. It doesn't feel like a 6k gold lead because JDG can't really leverage it that impactfully.
No, I agree. And again, they are still scary, and they've got gold in good places. But there is this world where I think turning up to these objectives and not zoning Weibo off will be problematic. We are still going to see a forced fight realistically in a minute or so because it will be sold for JDG. And I think if they get that, things get scary. Garlic just got Infinity Edge. We've got the 3 items on Honku as well, which is kind of his most obnoxious point of power. We're about ready to go here, and it'll just be the 2 items from Weibo, and that'll just have to be enough for them.
I really like the fact that Gala did go for the rapid fire cannon, not the flicker blades in this game, because you're not going to get that much uptime because you don't have that much CC. So having the very long range Milio Campfire plus fire cannon allows you to have a double tap of very high power to look for poke effectively from the Lucian. Is traditionally quite ultimate gated with that. When you have fire cannon and campfire, you can get poke on a much lower cooldown. Dragon in less than a minute now, as you were highlighting, and Weibo, well, they don't really have many inroads. They just have to give Soul. It is a Cloud Soul, but I hate a TF with Cloud Soul running at me, Sam. He's got enough move speed already from the Lich Bane and the Fire Cannon.
One Gala needs to be a bit careful stepping forwards there. The arrows start flying on through immediately. Mikhail, the Encore lands onto the Milio, but where the hell are you going, JJ? Just dies a horrible death diving under the turret. The Azir will try and disengage somewhat. Honku gets rooted up, will need to try and dash away, gets shielded by the safeguard, and JDG just wrecked the fight. I think they went looking, did old Weibo, and found very little but disaster.
Yeah, JJ gets kicked under the tower by Ginger. That's why it looks like he overdives. He got Dragon's Rage on his ass under the turret. That's going to be Soul. It's going to be a bunch of gold. Honky gets the fire cannon over the wall. The Q lands, and Zucker's probably dying here too. It's going to be a 5 for none. Weibo, they tried to last as long as they could, but the gold was too much to bear. JDG will walk away with a full ace and the Soul.
That is looking like we're going to game 3. Make no mistake about it. Another team fight goes the way of JDG, with Weibo kind of being stalled out somewhat, and life is not looking great as Weibo fans.
So we're likely going to a game 3 now, Sam. Now, JDG got blasted by Jeje in game 1. Ginger has had a great comeback here. Now, if you watch here, they did fly in with the Pantheon, just gets kicked right under the turret. Into the Milio Q, the Lee Sin Q, full CC, doesn't get a single empowered ability. Xiaoshu flashes in for the Stridebreaker slow onto 4 people. They get the gold card in. It's a very good response. You could see that the Pantheon ult was really looking for something, but the disengage and the counterpunch was just far too effective.
And now it's a 10,000 odd gold lead. They'll be Baron, I suspect, having come back from live. No, they've not taken that. I wonder whether they might have, but literally as we're talking about it, there's the start Are Weibo going to try and contest? Well, they're going to TP. Here we go.
Okay, Honkyu does have his ultimate coming back up now. The Baron does not go down. Honkyu has a 10-stack Medjai's, by the way. Now, that means he has the extra 10% movement speed on that, and then also has his Cloud Soul as well. So Honkyu is going to be moving around at, what, like 600 move speed or something like that? Now, far too much, basically. Look how fast he is.
He's so quick. Well, that's going to make things very tricky. Mid lane we go. It's Weibo trying to shove up here, but this was the scene of the disaster. Here comes the Destiny Gate. Xiaoshu on the flag. Oh, no. It's just rinse and repeat, and I think Weibo Gaming are being washed up and washed out of this one. They'll try and find a little bit of something. It's not bad for a second or two, but realistically, everyone gets melted. They don't even lose a single member, and JDG will march down mid lane. Baron not required. Game is over.
Yeah, Honkyu walks up with like 600 move speed, just flies into the back line. Junja with an excellent Lee Sin game. The only member of JDG to die in game 2 is Xiaoshu, who was canked by 3-bad early, and Weibo will be blasted in much more dominant fashion than their game 1 victory.
That brings us to a third and deciding game. JDG still fighting for second place here. That game 1 loss will hurt them on that front. Victory in game 2 will ensure no ignominy so far. They find themselves an important win there to ensure they can still contest for 9 wins.
Well, welcome to our little part corner of the LPL broadcast, folks. Now, is this an official broadcast? No, but do we cast as though it was one? Yeah, we do. We're brothers. My name's Alex. This is Sam. You might have seen us on LEC. Might have seen us on the LPL official broadcast for a number of years as well. Emir Masters, you name it. We've been in a lot of places in the league scene for a while now. Now, because there's no official LPL broadcast anymore, we've taken it upon ourselves to bring you basically something similar to that in our casting. You know, we've cast high-level League of Legends before. We've cast into LEC playoffs. I've cast live grand finals for LPL as well. We consider ourselves some of the best out there for that experience. We hope that you're enjoying yourselves. We'd like to teach you some things about this region, entertain you, confuse you with random bits about what was talking about aerogel. We'll do that too. But please consider sticking around. If you have been enjoying LPL, think about dropping a follow and sticking around a bit more. We'd love to have you as part of our community. I really appreciate the raiders earlier from Makaria, from Kenran as well. Really appreciate the both of you. Hope that your streams went well yourselves. And yeah, we'd love to have you around some more. We always cast LPL. We are here every day that the LPL is on. Sometimes I'll do some variety as well, but mostly you're going to be catching League of Legends here. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your stay for one final game today.
Indeed, we should be getting into that in about 15 minutes, so something like that tends to be the breaks between games. See how long they have to work with on that front. We're edging closer and closer towards 11,000 followers. What are we about?
Yeah, we're about 100 off. 120 off. 120 off until we hit 11k, which would be a really cool milestone for us. Because now we've been doing this little kind of like broadcast for 2.5 years. So in the modern era of LPL, we were the first ones to kind of go towards the official broadcast route. LPL English came about they came about half a year later, right? Because we had about half a year of doing the games which weren't broadcast in 2024. Because just a quick timeline of the LPL broadcast. In 2023, the broadcast was going to get shut down. It was picked up very hastily by Riot EU. Thank you so much for the gift support.
Oh,
you're very,
appreciate
very
you.
kind.
Okay.
But basically, they did pick it up, but then they only started broadcasting half of the games because they couldn't afford to cover the entire league, so it was 7 days a week. So that the days where it wasn't broadcast, we basically cast it as though it was an official broadcast. We did that for 2024. And basically in 2025, then LPL English started up, which is like the fan broadcast of the region. But we'd been doing it for a year before that. So we wanted to keep on doing our own thing. That's why we're not doing it with them, basically. One, because it just gives us more in pockets for us too, and actually makes this potentially into a job. We're very fortunate in the fact that we're able to be supported through this. And yeah, we appreciate people who support us. You know, we've been trying to do this for a very long time. I would consider myself I am definitely one of the most experienced casters in the world now. I've cast more League of Legends than anyone else in the world since 2023. And almost all of that's been LPL as well. It's been a hell of a lot of LPL. In terms of modern LPL, us two are now the most experienced casters in the region. Of course, there are a lot of people with a lot of very cool analytical opinions, but I'd put ourselves on, very close to the top of that list, and I hope that we can teach you a bit with that.
Zareth, to point out that you missed it. He already roasted me in game. Or they already roasted me in game. Whoops.
Yeah, that's right.
Tornasco wants a compliment though.
Huh? Tornasco compliment? I can look at that. I got to look through your message history, Tornasco, for this. I did do that. I did roast his impression. I did. It was when they were picking off the Renekton, the Gnar and top. There was the Gnar Renekton around top Tribrush. I remember that happening when I was talking about it.
Here we have the wild, grumpy Zareth. found within the Twitch chat.
Hey, it's fun to see you.
Nymaera's channel. Not the brightest chatter.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Sam, that's not okay. What is wrong with you? What? Oh, God. Wait, was that for Zeref or Tedasco?
That was just for Zeref.
Why wasn't that for Tedasco? Oh, okay, that was
That's a compliment. I was just about because
Okay.
Zeref was roasting my impression, so I thought I'd have some fun with it.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. I didn't get. Oh my God. Okay.
We have fun here, guys. I won't say we're always the most serious, but generally speaking, we have a good time. And considering we do a lot of hours, you have to forgive some of our levity here and there.
Can't wait for your stream now. Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay, Tornasco, I've actually just scrolled through your entire message history, and I appreciate how, like, literally over the last, like, year and a half to 2 years, however long you've been chatting, so that I see some stuff, like, towards the start of 2025, you've always been asking, like, very just cool questions, and they're just very engaging, and it makes our job as streamers really nice when actually people just ask clear questions. Well, I mean, it's just nice to have an active chat. I mean, both Sam and I both had this experience of, like, streaming to, you know, less people and not an active chat, which is completely fine. Like, lurking is great, but it does make our jobs much easier, and it's much nicer when there's actually stuff to bounce off, and I really appreciate you giving us a lot to bounce off. It helps a lot. Johnny Guys player of the game, very good game from him. I would also give a shout out to Honky. I think he was great there as well. Thanks for the sub there, Foxy. Great to see the support there as well. Really appreciate it. It's been a great stream today. Really appreciate the raids, really appreciate the follows, and the subs as well. Couple of votes in mid lane, mostly towards jungle.
The Ambut going, what the hell? Weibo took a game off JDG. Ah, I see. You've fallen for the classic trap of the LPL, which is never ever doubt that Weibo Gaming will cause some chaos.
You've fallen for the greatest trick. Never fight a land war in Asia. No, that's only second slightly to never fight a Sicilian with his life on the line.
Never doubt Weibo's ability to cause chaos.
Now, if you've never watched the Princess Bride movie, you absolutely should. It is an all-time classic. Can you please get me a coffee, by the way, Sam? Thank you. Don't put iocane powder in it, please. That's the one. God, Princess Bride is one of my very favorite movies of all time. I showed it to Angie not too long ago, and I'm glad that she enjoyed it as well. Rose for Foxy. You're the kind of person that would get into a you know, like a wager with their life on the line, being a Sicilian and assuming that you're gonna be fine, and you're just not immune to iocane powder. Foxy, you don't strike me as someone who's immune to iocane powder. Oh my gosh, thanks for the gift to sub there, Zareth. So honestly, Foxy, you know, you're just not the kind of person I see as being prepared with iocane powder. I mean, why haven't you been spending the last 6 years in Australia getting immune to it? I mean, these things are important, I tell you. Oh god. Yeah, my only chats are roast redeems and argue with BLG fans. Hey, occasionally you put an aggrieved comment for me saying something about G2 as well. As much as I love G2. Oh god. But yeah, the comment about, you know, how did JDG lose a game to Weibo? Are they top 3? I mean, JDG have had their inconsistencies too. It's just that last week they looked really good on them. I mean, this week is a bit weird because they're meant to not. No, this is one of the few weeks they don't have back-to-back. They don't have back-to-back games which kind of screw their prep over. This should be a lot easier for them, but it's just not been the case there. Compliments, Swanner. You are a very good representative for the G2 community, because we were just talking about G2, right? But you're a very good representative of the G2 community. I know that you came over from there, but like obviously you've been around in the community a bit before, but it's been really cool seeing you come over since the first Stand Crow streams. It's just really nice to have you around. You're a really good representative for the G2 community. I think that as fans, as a team, particularly if you're very outspoken as a fan of a team, you do kind of carry that reputation with you, and you speak well for G2 with that, actually, you do. If Junja runs it as GG, that is a big thing about JDG. You know, JDG are Junja dice gaming for a reason. Here's my dice. This is the Junja dice. I have a giant. Wait, you can see that? It's like a giant eye in it. See that? It's cool as hell. I've got 2 of these actually. Look at my giant dice. These ones are very large. Aren't they cool? I think these are cool. Hell no. Like floating eyeballs in them. Need Honku Annie for game 3. He's very good. No worries, Rana. But yeah, no, I hope that hope you're doing well. Oh, I want to compliment the streamer instead. Arena games were great, and you're really good at making me evaluate my gameplay during playing, cooking better builds. I apologize if I'm harsh in Arena. It's just that, so like, I'm not gonna say I'm an inspired type, but like, put it this way, I want to be really clear with what I think should happen in the game. And if someone, like, I'm gonna be harsh to myself too. You know, I am harsh to myself too because I hold myself to high standards when I think I'm actually like meant to be good at something. The problem I've had with League is like I stopped playing to kind of pursue casting a lot because I just needed to put a lot of time into casting that I didn't have as much time to play. And I just realized I'm not as good a player in solo queue at least than I was in like 2020. 2020 to like 2018 to 2020 I was actually pretty good, and then I just like I cast on average a game of League a day, and once you're watching like 50 hours plus of League a week, your actual time for playing it becomes a lot less. But yeah, in stuff like Arena, well, how good? I mean, so put it this way, in Arena I reached rank 1. So Arena specifically, I'm really good. In solo queue, I reached like Diamond 1 before like Masters, Grandmasters was a thing, I think. No, Masters was a thing. I reached Diamond 1. So like I was decent. I wouldn't say I was like very good, but I was decent. And then I think I probably could have pushed for Masters, and then I chose to go into casting instead. So like I would say I'm decent, not fantastic, you know? And the problem is my laning phase just wasn't good enough. I'm actually pretty good at finding my way into skirmishes and team fights, but my laning phase just wasn't good enough, basically. Welcome from the beautiful city of 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Icosahedrons? Yep. I have so many dice, actually. I have so many dice. Hang on, can I show you something? In fact, do I have my dice bag here? It might be in the other room, actually. Yeah, I don't have all of my dice here. What I do have is I have a fake Galio. I have a fake Galio like little key fob thing. That's from the G2 watch party. That was cool as heck. It's cool as heck. Yeah, these are my 2 big dice anyway. I have some very nice dice though. They're kind of like jewelry for nerds. I've got some like these ones are pretty cool. Let me show you these. Yeah, look at that. I've got some brass ones, which are cool as heck. They're like really steampunk. These are like really tactile as well. These are cool. I've got some like crystal ones too somewhere. Okay, anyway. Oh, gosh, right, let's get ourselves ready for game 3 then. Hey, Dong Dong Hua, good to see you as well. I know you've been in chat, but it's thanks for the follow earlier, appreciate you. To love your team, you must love the negative parts too, or at least, okay, you don't have to love the negative part of your teams, but you have to accept them, right? Because, like, I think it's actually part of a fan as well to, like, be aware that they're negative, not kind of, yeah, I mean, sometimes negatives if it's, like, out-of-game stuff or whatever. So you can stop following teams for all sorts of reasons, but yeah, if you're going to be a fan of a team, you have to at least accept the negatives exist rather than avoid them, and, you know, not just kind of brush them under the carpet too much. If you've been a G2 fan for years, you tend to start loving the absolute degeneracy that comes sometimes. I mean, they've kind of bought into that, and I think it's actually done them quite well, because G2's fan base has been okay to laugh at itself when it's been necessary, which has been quite important, because if you remember a lot of the... Yeah, a lot of fans of like TSM Fnatic back in 2015, after they were really dominant, did not take a joke well. Whereas G2, when they were really good in like 2016, then they fell off in 2017. But, you know, like around that kind of era of 2016 to 2018, and then even in 2019, they were really good. But when they started to lose games and stuff, they would at least be like, yo, we lost, but like, don't get angry about it. You know, like they accept the loss, but they'd have a laugh at it if it goes to it, right? Who's going to win? I mean, really depends on a whole bunch of things. These two teams are quite volatile. If JDG gets ahead of Junja, we know what happens. It's the same kind of thing which happened with Tarzan getting ahead of Junja too. So much of these top tier LPL teams are based on their junglers. I currently think that LPL has the best junglers in the world. If you've been watching LCK, there are some great ones over there, of course, too. But I think that LPL, we saw this at First Stand. Players like Shun, and then of course other players which didn't make it to First Stand, like JJ, like I think Wei's been good, like Tarzan is fantastic too, are incredibly good. Even, you know, the best jungler in the LCK right now is Kanavi, who is like the trademark LPL jungler. Now, of course, he's playing his first year within the LCK, but LPL jungling is really doing well right now. And I'm glad that Kanavi's having a good split after having a split one where I don't think his lanes really trusted him. And I think that the lanes in the jungle were seeing the game very differently. Now Kanavi has just strong-armed the rest of the team into playing the way that he wants them to, and it's really benefiting them very well. Remember MSI 2024 with the lost LDR incident? Oh, yeah, versus Top Esports. I mean, the thing is, in that game, I'm actually not sure that LDR... I've looked back at it, I'm actually not sure LDR saves that game, but yeah, for sure. Versus full tank Cassante not going for any armor pen was... It was a choice. Tends to happen. Did I put an ad break on? I didn't. I gotta put on an ad break before we get into draft, folks. That was my bad. So I'm gonna put an ad break now. Please subscribe if you don't want ads. I just realized I had to do that, otherwise we're not gonna be able to get the starter draft, which would be a problem. Royce for Tanasco. Tanasco, I put on those adverts specifically so I didn't have to see you in chat. Wait, does he have a sub? You have a sub? Wait, hang on, let me check. Oh, man. Damn. No. Oh, you've got the sub. You can still hear my voice. We don't have that layer of separation. Damn it. I failed. I put on those ads specifically to not talk to Tornasco. Damn. Damn. What have I done? I failed. Man, why couldn't you have had your better brother here, Tabasco, instead? Sorry. It's the only thing I could think of. Alright, let's get ourselves into game 3. Junja fighting. Well, Junja is a very important player to this team. Let's get ourselves into game 3 of the series. So much of these. So much. I know I failed that. I know I did, but... I'm sorry, yeah. I was obviously thinking too much. I should roast myself now, yeah. Don't worry, I do that enough, don't you worry. So game 3, I mean, so much of this comes down to jungle matchup. I think it depends on dominant lanes, dominant jungle matchup. I will say, I think Xiaohu has had 2 good games. There is something to be said about Xiaohu not necessarily having 3 good games in a 3-game series. Yeah. So I'm a little bit worried that mid lane going as well for Weibo won't last into game 3. That could potentially be a big issue for them. I'm going to get into draft right now, so.
Thank you all for the gift subs and the support, guys. I appreciate you all for being in here. We are looking at a game 3, as we've been chatting about. The Jarvan, the Nocturne get banned away from their respective players. Again, don't want to give away Jarvan, don't want to give up that Nocturne over to Junja as well. Both very, very potent early game options, so giving up one and not the other would have been pretty tricky. Hey, they're on camera there as well. Got some expat fans around as well, some foreign fans around. Expat always feels like a weird term, not gonna lie.
Expat means that like you're moving there for work, and then when you're not working, you go back. Whereas like it's different if you've actually like, you know, emigrated out to somewhere, which is a very different thing. Nocturne and the Jarvan, you said, were banned away. Jungle matchup is really starting to go down to like your Skarner, Maokai, Trundle. Now, in fact, I almost wonder whether we get a first pick Trundle if it comes through to it.
Interesting.
Just because we know that the jungle matchup is so damn important, and the level 1 of a Trundle is the best thing left in the early game now. There's a chance of that.
He never gets taken out, partly because it's a multi-lane flex, but it's also just very oppressive out of the mid lane, and we are starting to get to the point where a lot of our mobile options are off the board to some extent. Corki's still there, I guess.
Okay, there's a bunch of stuff which are very importantly up right now. Now, I've talked about the jungle matchup, but we still have Ryze, we still have Varus up available, which has made its way through the draft for the first time, unless it's last ban here. It has to be banned.
Ezreal.
So first pick over towards Way, but you're right, there is the Ezreal, which is quite important to both. I think the Ryze is better. The Anivia's already gone. The Cassiopeia's already gone. If you're looking at strict quote-unquote counters to the Ryze, you're actually looking at Malzahar now in terms of the last remaining picks.
Angel's been the one to play that occasionally, actually. He's pulled it out a couple times to mixed success. Yeah, it has been done just a little.
Whereas in the LCK, you had Showmaker playing him. Now, we've had a couple of other players try it, but in terms of Ryze counters, there's not much in lane, which means that you're probably going to have a scaling Ryze into the game. Now, you're trading that for an Ezreal Bard, most likely. We'll see what goes on with the jungle matchup later, but a Ryze getting into the game is terrifying, Sam.
It is. I mean, you are, however, giving Vampire's Bard up, and it's one of his picks that really, really empowers his player to go cause chaos on the map. Bard is one of the best champions at doing that, and Vampire's one of our best supports, alongside someone like On at ensuring the map gets pretty wild. Honky loves an Aurora. He has played it into the Ryze to relative success as well, actually, and theoretically a flex, but I imagine Honky will take this, and he has done some really nasty carry performances on it.
But this isn't a Ryze counter. It's a Ryze, like, answer. And even then, it's like the Talir is locked in instead. So they're going to go for the global. So this is something that we would see like in 2024. We'd see bits and pieces of stuff like Talir, Galio. Rise would kind of come up a little bit more last year, right? And the big thing now is that you're trying to play global for global. You're not stopping the Rise getting into the game. The Rise is going to scale. This has also now forgone your ability to take the Ezreal. I think they should have just locked the Ezreal Bard, Sam. You don't have the Jhin with it. You're probably looking like a Sivir Bard now, aren't you?
Maybe they're going to go for the Nico here. That gives you a bit more engage. Also, kind of scary to Realm Warp in a Nico Pop Blossom. One way of delivering the payload into the backline.
I'll say, look, the Hank has not been good today. I don't think it's been good in his time on Weibo. He has had one good game, though, and that was on Nico. That's been his best champion so far that we've seen from him, from the limited games that we've seen. Now, presumably it's an AD carry now, but there could be the chance of locking in a priority jungler. Caitlyn Bard, this is a lot more of a... So Katie Rolster plays a bit, and then, of course, Vitality in the LEC has been a big proponent of this lane, too. It is strong. It's not as good in terms of lane pressure as a Caitlyn Elise, but it allows you to have strong presence from the early part of the game, and then Caitlyn leaves in a 1v1 because she's such an impressive laner, and then the Bard goes about roaming. So the Bard and Nico are going to hopefully leave their AD carries, as all good supports intend to do, and try and snowball the map.
And again, I think if you end up with JDG in the river first, suddenly between Talir, Unraveled Earth, the Caitlyn, Yorda Snap Traps, quite a lot of zone control, dodging Tempered Fates, that kind of thing. It's most fun to find your way into that area of control from Jingdong Gaming. You've already kind of questioned Weibo's ability to contest dragons, especially when they feel like they don't have an easy path to do so in those 50-50s, and that being a problem here as the games go on. We'll be banning out in the second phase. It will largely be junglers. I expect the Wukong are going to start rising in priority, so like those AD skirmishes are down. We've lost the Nocturne of the Jarvan already. That will be kind of looking more, I would say something like the Neferi, but that already went in game one.
Now, the Trundle's banned away by Weber, and as I said, I thought that jungler was really high up on the priority list. Now, that stops you having Bard Trundle wall stun combos. It stops you having to pillar into much more easy Bard ultimates too. Also, it's better for Rise because Rise doesn't have phase rush anymore for the easy slow resist to run away from the Trundle pillar slow. And Bessa banned away. That technically is a flex, but it's more likely towards top lane there. Any of the junglers? I guess there's Skarner and there's Maokai. Skarner, Maokai are the two which really spring to mind right now.
I actually think the Maokai here for the Talir and the Caitlyn sounds pretty nasty to manage here. I mean, Merc Tread's value does get quite high for someone like the Rise, but still I don't think it'll be particularly simple. Probably would end up looking towards something like a Cassante then to try and tank up some of that CC. The Vayne ban here.
So they want a Cassante themselves, I think.
Is what that says to me.
I think they would quite like a Cassante themselves. I think that Weibo are pretty happy playing against a Cassante because the Ezreal can keep distance from it fairly effectively, and the Rise is quite good at side laning versus that pick. What are you blind picking, JDG? Presumably Maokai or some kind of jungler, but I don't know. Skarner's okay here. Now with the Trundle gone, Skarner's safer.
Yeah, and then on the other side, what are you looking for from Weibo Gaming? You could still look at something like that. Maokai, the Sejuani's probably not awful as well. We are kind of going down more towards that tank pool at this point. Maybe I'm missing an AD skirmish off the top of my head. Maybe if you're really feeling spicy, you can pull out the Kiani, the Shinzao. You're right, Shinzao is a completely good call.
Shinzao is the big one there right now. Unless you want to go for something completely different like a Zarhen, which is not great versus the Talir. Jace is a fine blind pick. There's no... Well, there is a Yorick there that might go in towards the top lane. Then JJ probably does go Shinzao at this point.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, you lock the Jace here because you see there's no Maokai, because the Maokai you would have needed the Cassante into that to try and deal with the ult coming forward. Jace doesn't have that same issue. Now you've got double poke, right, with the Jace and the Ezreal. Try and outrange and deal with these relatively squishy members outside of the Skarner.
So do you want big engage or do you want that front line? I think you want the Shinzao for the temporary front line. There's no one massively tanky on your team. The Rise is tanky for a mid lane, but he's not a tank. The Shinzao can fight early, can delay a bit in the team fight. They might send the Jace jungle, though.
It's been a while.
I did not expect that at all. It's Jace jungle, Cassante top. Well, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, again, they've nerfed Jace's jungles early clear quite heavily. Of course, the Voltaic Cyclo sword has given him a bit more oomph. The opportunity's gone, but that will still be potentially pretty good. See what he decides to build at this point. See the Cassante, they see the flex, and they go, okay, how are we going to deal with this? Zahen, I have not seen in a hot minute. Has really struggled to find lanes where he finds a lot of success, but into the Cassante, we'll be able to scale just fine and then become that additional frontline slash sustain champion to go alongside something like that Skarner a little later on and be able to counterpunch something like that Nico, that Cassante going.
Xiaoxu was a really good Zahen back when it was in meta. So the Jace, the reason why it ended up falling out of meta was basically the Q in both forms lost 15 monster damage, which AoE can lead to a lot of extra damage. And even then, I mean, even earlier on, 26.2. The bonus monster damage on both forms of Q was 50 before that, got reduced to 25. Then from 25 down to 10. So from peak Jace jungle, he's lost 40 monster damage on both forms of his Q.
80%.
So it's 80% of the bonus monster damage. You still get the base damage, but basically Jace's extra jungle damage has really been nerfed over time. I didn't expect this at all. You are playing for double poke. I didn't expect this. We did say that we probably were looking for a Cassante, but with the Jace locked in, I didn't expect that at all. We'll get ourselves into our third and final game of Series 2. Coaches will bump fist. Those are some nice shoes there. Mr. Kim, who's been drafting for Weibo on stage now. JDG go 3 games against Weibo again. First round robin, they won out 2-1. They won through objective fighting. This time, it's been a little bit different, hasn't it? Game 1, the Smite Foes went against them. Game 2, they just blew them out brutally in terms of that laning phase and skirmish advantage. Only lost 2 kills the entire game. It has been a back and forth series. Close game 1. Game 2, JDG struck back with a vengeance.
All right, gamers, if you don't want to see some adverts, now is the time to subscribe. Otherwise, we'll see you as the game starts, and we'll get on from there. Solid response from our Weibo fans today. They're a little excited by some of these flexes around. I think if JDG find their way to a front to back with some of their CC chains, it's going to get pretty obnoxious. But I appreciate the fact we've seen the Jace flex. It's been a hot minute since we've seen the jungle options. Gone for the Scorch Claw and didn't see what runes he was running.
Guess we'll catch up with that a little bit later. It looks like the overlay is actually broken in terms of those runes. That is what they are. It's the Doran's Helm, by the way, for the Cassante game. We're seeing a lot of this specifically on Cassante, which helps him with some of those early stats. Only gives you resist, doesn't give you any of the like the regen that the Doran's Shield does, which most melee laners have been running. Very interested to see how Honkyu and Xiaohu interact in this lane, because Xiaohu's Rise has actually been very, very good this split on the whole. And it's not an answer to the Rise. The Rise just kind of scales up for free, but I don't think the Rise should really be threatening the Talia.
Okay, so Jace is doing one side reset for longsword and coming back out. He still feels like he can do that.
Yeah, so this is something which a lot of our junglers in LPL would do on Zed, on Kiana, on Neferi. We'd see it for a lot of our early AD kind of double longsword builders when they built towards with something like, you know, I mean, in this case it'd be Cyclosword, right? But back then it was something like Hubris or going towards your first lethality item. Do that quite a lot there, really. Early push in from the Caitlyn Bard, no surprises there, even though the Ezreal Nico's quite good at that. JJ, it's not a bad first clear from him. Has recalled, of course, for that first longsword, as you were saying. Ginger double camping is going to be ahead on the clear, which means he will be available on bot side, level 4, earlier than JJ.
See whether we're going to see a fight over this Scuttle Crab or not. There'll be some smites available from our junglers, and see whether that leads to any real contest. Because again, it might be just one of those ones where they see each other and go, cool, I'll trade for the other Scuttle Crab.
So he'd have to smite. He actually would have to smite for this. He has to do it pretty soon, actually, too. There you go. He's not going to have smite for the Scuttle contested. Ginger won't be able to stop JJ from getting his full clear. It's going to be single Scuttle each. He didn't use his smite on his first camp, so we will have it for the Scuttle on top side. Although Ginger is not going to smite this, he can actually potentially smite top Scuttle now if he goes to contest it. So he would have to teleport in to help him contest for that, though.
Grim Deliverance comes on forwards. That was Dreaded Return. That's the one. Grim Deliverance with the ultimate. Just going to pull back onto Zaku. He's got that passive stack. Makes things a little bit spicier. The Jace is going to shove that Scuttle Crab towards the top of the lane and away from the Skarner where possible in the river. I'm assuming Jace is going to pick this one up.
Well, we're not seeing it right now. He's just smited it there. That was a little bit, it's actually a little bit spooky. The reason why he can get that is because Xiaohu ended up getting a little bit of a leg up on Honkyu. He propped the Ghost even to help with that. I don't know whether that was used to kind of chase off Ginger, or whether that was to stop Honkyu at a part of that early lane. That was actually quite important. It wasn't shown on camera, but the mid lane early on has actually been going very well for Xiaohu compared to Honkyu in this series.
So far, so good for Xiaohu on that end. Jace managed to come back out, pick up that early set of wraps, get rid of some of these walls. We'll probably pick up what I imagine will be the Krugs, reset, and then look to impact the bot side of the map where possible. Again, with the Nico down there, theoretically, able to follow up as a Jason Blood, what is a relatively squishy lane.
Really want to shout out to someone in our YouTube chat, Coach Diadzba, who's come up with a really good thing for the Nico here. Nico is valuable this game for getting rid of traps and things like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. Technically, you can run over stuff like bar shrines too, but getting rid of Caitlyn traps, that's actually very important here. Vampire not going to get the Q. Does get rooted there. Not going to get too much damage. Only early levels here. They only the rank 1 of the Q from the Hank. Bot lane, 10 CS lead. Again, kind of expected from Caitlyn lane. It's going to be evened up to about, suppose, just a little less than 10, about 5. So about a 1-wave advantage as the wave crashes in.
Likely be that indeed. I don't see what skin Gala's running. That's not one of the Caitlyn skins I'm completely aware of. Give a look forward there. It's got the Darking Glaive as opposed to Darking Blade on the Q, which is always a fun one.
Yes, it's kind of like a mini Shinzao Q, pretty much. Well, because basically the same bloke. Hang on, jumping onto JJ, gets wall stunned by the Talia.
That's a bit dangerous. Has to flash, gets out there as Honkyu does find a good Weaver's Wall angle to make things a little bit spicy.
Jesus.
Build your own wall causes JJ some strife.
I gotta say, it's build your own wall stun combo. The Talia ult comes across, combos up with Junja with the Excel's impact. JJ, scary there, actually. It's going towards his Dirk first item. So no surprises on that one. Because he's not going for the Voltaic first item. He might go towards the Ghost Blade, probably for mobility. Hopefully, yeah, it just helps you with that ability to kind of get out of the initial threatening play. Because Jace often has to go glass cannon. It's a big problem for him. Xiaohu kind of behind in that play a little bit on Honkyu. Good first ult of the game from Honkyu, despite the fact that he was used in his lane.
Rune Prison lands onto Honkyu after an overload and a spell flux. Other way around, spell flux and overload. EQ, EQ. Somewhere out there, the Rise Mains Reddit wakes up from its deep slumber.
EQ, EQ, EQ.
That was a great video.
Yeah, someone like hired like one of the really famous like cameo like people to go do the EQ.
Attention all Rise Mains.
EQ.
If you've not seen it, guys, you need to see it.
It's Q, E, Q, E, well, it's Q, E, W, Q a lot of the time. Depends. I've been learning little bits and pieces about Rise. Rise is a very complicated champion. I never really put that much time into him because, to be honest, I wasn't about the Blue Man Group life. Also, he was just really annoying for the many early years of League history. It's Firecracker Caitlyn, by the way, as Chaz pointed out. I have to say, I lost track of a couple of the skins over the years too. I forgot about that one, but it has some really cool sound effects.
Yeah, barrier pop there by the side of Elk to deal with the ace in the hole that came on forward because Gala did hit level 6 first. So, summoner earned there by the bot lane of JDG.
Maybe if they win this series, I suppose in terms of stakes, it does give them a chance to fight for 5th, depending on how NIP play out their last series, because they're 1 series off of finishing, so they only have 1 series left. But if they Weibo win, there's a good chance they finish 5th, 6th, because IG and NIP both have series left to play. There's a chance they can kind of leapfrog them. NIP played WE, which is, you know, thereabouts. It's a chance to get NIP.
There was a team that WE could beat, NIP's inconsistencies.
If they low roll, there's a chance. IG played JDG.
That's a little bit harder for IG.
But then again, IG do have a weird kind of bogey team record against JDG, but with Nia playing, it's a little bit harder. Oh, potential gank around the back here from Junja.
So Jay's coming down, doesn't have any move speed bonuses. They'll see them now, but there's going to be an impale likely. Elk's going to have to dodge away. Unfortunately for the side of the Hank, though, the impale will skewer that Nico and ensure the death of the shape changer.
He tried to get the clone to interact with the Skarner, didn't quite time it right. I think he would have been able to flash out of the ult afterwards from that point, so a bit of a mechanical misplay from the Hank. Good idea, but not quite executing on it. Kill goes to Gala, unfortunately. Gala's been good in the last week or two. I think that he's been inconsistent before that point. I understand why people have held that against him. But I think that Gala, now with a lead, getting up towards his first time, that's going to be a problem. Now, what they're highlighting on screen here from the Talia is the fact that Talia's Q got buffed. 5 damage per stone at all ranks, basically. And you think how many times you're throwing out your Q with the threaded volley, it really does make a difference there.
Yeah, very much so, especially when you're looking for those early wave clear breakpoints and that kind of thing, or just early chunk trades when you don't have as much HP to work with. All of those things feel quite good. Has gone airy, no Deathfire touch, which I wonder whether the Talia might look towards, but just wants that a little bit of additional safety here.
How does... Hang on a second. Jidder's going to walk into Vampire and Honkyu. Not going to be wall stunned this time. Shock Blast back.
Needs to jump through the magical journey. The magical journey. We're going to see the Leopleurodon. JJ needs to back away here a little bit and does have that ability to accelerate a Shock Blast if required. Will not need to.
Got flicked back by Honkyu. Good combo from him. Of course, Honkyu last year, pretty big Talia player himself. Played a bit of it in Split 1 when the Talia was a bit more around. Fell off quite a lot because it felt like the damage just wasn't there. The damage onto JJ means that I'm not sure Weibo can really contest these grubs, actually. Yeah, he has to back. That's going to be 3 grubs to the side of JDG because of a very good combo from Honkyu onto JJ.
Question in chat as well, do they reckon that JDG Gala plays, or they're better at JDG are better playing through Gala than LNG where?
No, is JDG Gala playing better than LNG Gala? So in terms of that's how I've read that anyway. No, LNG Gala I think was better. LNG Gala was more consistent. I think that he was actually more varied. He was one of the best Kaisers and Ziggs in the league, but also was a very good Zeri at the same time. I think that LNG Gala was really, really good. Now, of course, international player side, it kind of sucked for him, right? But I think that actually Gala was very, very good on LNG. It's going to be 2 grabs to the side of JDG, 1 to the side of Weibo as JJ gets the last one.
Does indeed come on over, has now got that Ghost Blade worth noting. Kasante's first item, Thornmail into the Zahen, who does like a little bit of sustain. So just dealing with that one where they can. Again, it's a largely AD heavy team with the exception of the Talia. Yes, I know Skarner strictly does magic damage, but does he really?
No, it's mainly the physical damage, isn't it? It's just like, yep, cool, just gonna hit you with the random stuff. Scales with HP, so he has to be a tank and do damage for some reason.
Like, I know his passive, which is like, it's like the...
Tremors.
The seismic, yeah, it's a tremor. Is it Tresma Threads? Or Seismic Threads? The Seismic Bastion Tremor Threads, that's the one.
Tremor Threads?
Yes, it is.
Huh.
It's like it does magic damage but scales off HP.
Once again, Elk uses the barrier onto the Caitlyn ult. He's just using that to make sure he doesn't get chunked out. He doesn't have any sustain in the kit, so he wants to make sure he's topped up as much as possible. Dragon in less than a minute. Weibo got the first one. Probably will be a contest based on the rest of the games of series. JJ doesn't. Oh, he does have flash. Might need to use it.
Does manage to get out. The Pop Blossom turns around, but now the Hank's in a dangerous spot, but dodges the Tempered Fate. The Impale will land, but now Junja's eating quite a lot of damage from Elp, but they'll bring down the Nico. Xiaohu looking for a fair amount of damage. Got the Ghost rolling, and the Essence Flux is coming on down. The Overload is wide, though. Now Gala's in danger. The Shock Blast takes his head off. Now Vampire's trying to trade out. Will flash over the wall and survive.
Yeah, Weibo, not a bad first play. The Hank goes in with a flash. Ultimately, he dies for it, but killing Gala on the other side, that's a worthy trade. Kill goes to JJ. The Jace really does like using that gold, of course, too. Xiaohu, good first Realm Warp of the game from him. It's a bit of a reality check for JDG. Early on into the game, there's quite a lot of damage here from Weibo, and that won't change for a lot of this game, actually. Ryze is going to be scary throughout, and this is the kind of a game where if Ezreal gets to kind of escape the first engage, can be quite threatening.
The plan, out comes the Pathmaker. Good damage forwards. Need to look to see whether there can be a pull back here or not. Going to happen for now, and really is just that slight goldie to JDG, but a moment in the river there where things got a bit dicey.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the gold has come from Gala from plates in that first kill, but JJ's got himself Ghost Blade. He's going to get himself another pickaxe on top of that. Jace jungle, the reason why it was so effective is that it's very hard to stop him from getting poked from the jungle roll because you get to pick a tank in top lane, actually. You know, now you have Cassandra that can sit there. Jace can just sit there, layer through a Shock Blast or two, go for the Ezreal poke as well. Misses the Shock Blast there, but chance of JJ actually doing some real damage here. We're going to go for a Dragonfight proper, it looks like.
Back away, turns to the melee form and backs away. Don't know whether they do want to keep playing this. Again, when you've got the Ezreal, you've got the Jace, you do have a fair amount of poke. I just don't know whether it's going to be as scary at this point. Only the one item marks. It might be in another scenario. The Shock Blast does land onto Gala. Good news. True Shot Barrage also tags. Tempered Fate
goes on to the Nico. Do they really want to engage onto the support, though? Not sure. Good damage!
Oh my days, yeah, they do. They managed to get the Caitlyn trap headshot combos off, and goodbye, Nico.
Well, there you go. Good Shock Blast onto 3. Ryze isn't walking over. I think Weibo could have contested that, Sam. With a flash on Ryze, I think he could have just come around the corner and caused some issues. Flash out of the Skarner ult if it was aimed at him. I think Xiaohu should have come down to that play. It's a free kill and Dragon over to the side of JDG now. Weibo, as we've said, Dragon contests have kind of been their Achilles heel. It's not been where they're finding successes.
It's not been what they needed to find, and that's made things a little bit tricky. I appreciate the look in, but Xiaohu not there, either because he didn't want to drop the wave or because they thought they could contest with just a few people there. But it does lead to a death, it does lead to the Dragon, and that for JDG, only a mild amount of gold up, but a amount of gold up it is.
Yeah, Vampire doesn't spot out the Hank there. Xiaohu Gonna wave clear through. People are commenting on the healing boots from Elk and from Gala actually as well on the other side. Now, again, I saw that Jack Spectre was really criticizing AD carries from building this. I'm gonna push back on that, and I understand his reasoning mathematically for it. But the reason why I like the cooldown boots on AD carries is it means that a lot of AD carries who already struggle to get sustain in their kit early, get it early on into the game, and it's very cheap. It gives you a lot of value before the nerfs come through. I think next patch it won't be nearly as impactful. But for a champion like Ezreal, up until 3rd item, when you get Endless Hunger, and only when you really complete that item, you don't have any sustain in the kit. And it means that if a Caitlyn lands an ult on you, well, you just take that damage for free. Having the Gluttonous Greaves and potentially stacking it up earlier too, because you need to get some extra kills and assists to stack it up to the full amount of Omnivamp, I think actually gives you a lot of value on the item. I understand mathematically that a lot of boots can give a lot of different value to AD carries, but I think actually in this case, I do actually think Gluttonous Greaves are somewhat overlooked for what they provide in a niche which AD carries can sometimes struggle to fill.
The one. Mr. Anderson in chat is asking about how the Hank has been.
Nicht sehr gut. Ja. Kein Problem. Keines Problem. Yeah, it's a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
He's not been great.
No, he's not.
He's yeah, I would say he's been the worst of the 3 supports that Weibo have played with this year. I think that Erhu was the best, then Hung, despite the fact that Hung was not very good at the start of the split. Now, I think that the difference is JJ plays better with Erhu and the Hank than he did with Hung. Even though Hung was actually okay towards his last few series, and I think that Erhu was just better in general, and that JJ has been playing better with the different supports. I think that Hung, one of the big reasons I can understand him going is the fact that actually I just don't think that JJ was having the same impact. I think the jungle support synergy had fallen apart somewhat.
Mike J. Anderson, I feel like I failed you because I meant to go Neo in chat, Mr. Anderson. Would have been a good one because then you could have made the joke about Agent Smith and Mr. Anderson references, and we didn't do that because I didn't quite get the delivery correct.
A Matrix made today would be very different because instead of going through like the phone boxes, you just have a smartphone and be like, hey, you're up. I feel like it does away with a lot of the setting. Yeah. But if it was done like, however long before, but imagine having to do it through a fax machine, man. I mean, they were around at the same time as telephones. In fact, they came a little
dial-up tone.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, someone picked up the receiver on the phone. Don't have any internet anymore.
My soul is lost in the ether.
Yeah. Carl takes a bit of damage there from JJ. Does again. He has the cooldown boots, the sustain boots as well. Does definitely help. Alex trying to get some value there, clearing up this wave. Gala having a pretty good series so far. The first game lost was not on him. Game 2 was very impactful from the whole team, really.
She just sliding over the Aureate Rush. Great name. There was actually a 4th Matrix movie, which I didn't watch.
Yeah, Resurrections, right?
Was it any good?
I didn't watch it, I can't tell you. Yeah, it's one of those movies which is going to be so hard for people to judge unbiasedly, either from nostalgia or from whatever reason. But I'm not sure I can accurately judge it, Sam.
Fair enough. I hear you.
I'm glad you do, otherwise we'd have a problem. Communicate through smoke signals. What? Must have been the wind. Xiao has the swiftness boots on the rise is worth noting, by the way. A little bit more ability to chase, to kite, to dodge skill shots, which he didn't do that. Does have the ghost. Herald started. If he recalls here, then he won't be able to fight. I'm not sure Weibo are in position to contest this very well. Top lane is still locked in bot lane. Going to use the clone to get rid of that trap. Bardol goes completely wide. That's a good combo there, though.
There comes the Pot Blossom. The Hank goes in. Will die for it. Just get a route onto the Hong Q, but that's kind of it. The Herald comes down. Weibo Gaming again with a very poor objective contest. Come in late. Don't find what they're looking for. Xiaohu now on the wrong side of the wall. Does manage to speed away from the seismic shove, but that's that.
Herald's been summoned in mid lane, and both supports kind of take a turn of going, well, whoopsie. Hang on, there's an all-out and bot side from Zerka onto Xiaohu. Xiaohu coming down does have a, the last of that ghost helping him roam down there. It's just going to force him off the turret. So Weibo weren't really in position to contest. They did use the Nico clone to clear out a Caitlyn trapline, as highlighted in chat earlier. Doesn't do very good usage of it. And then the Hank just has no follow-up. He goes in, flashes in for an ultimate that no one can follow and dies. I mean, this is not a good look. He's 0 and 4 in 18 minutes, Sam. That is just not a good look.
Yes, it is quite poor, it must be said. And this has not been a particularly good series from him. All the deaths of JDG have managed to accrue from Weibo have been onto the Hank. They might the kills is the way that should be phrased, but still the point is the Hank has died every time for his team.
Hanker-S. That'd be a fun moat. Hanker S. Anyway, Dragon's gonna get started. And I just don't think that Weibo have set up very well for these objectives. They're going, JD is going towards the Voltaic second item. Rise is gonna try and clear through this wave. Won't be able to, so Xiaoxu will get that turret for free. And JDG just feels like just walking to an over map, setting down presence. They're not a crazy amount of gold ahead, but it's enough. And Weibo, they look a bit lost, Sam. I don't think they're contesting very well. This feels like a lot of how their lost games have gone in this split, which has been, objectives up, should we walk over to it? And they haven't planned in advance.
No, all right then.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we'll try. And then
just one more beer.
It hasn't really worked out very effectively for them.
And the problem is that they're going to the river second versus Caitlyn traps, Unraveled Earth, Bard threatening with a Tempered Fate, the Skarner to catch someone up as you go into them as well, and that just doesn't sound great fun. Yes, you've got the Ezreal. Yes, you've got the Jace. That's good poke. You can theoretically full send with a Nico to try and get in, but I do think it's not going to be that simple to close the distance. And as it stands, the poke isn't threatening enough to force people off the ults, dodge away from the Tempered Fate. Now, Vampire's actually possibly in a spot of bother. Just have that Essence Flux on top of him, and Elk is threatening best he can.
Yeah, it's not been the best ult accuracy. He had that 1-on-2 bot lane dragon fight, bot river, right? Really caught out the hang. The other ultimates from Vampire has not been fantastic. Still 2-0-2 though, not a bad game from him, but when those ultimates start landing, that's when we'll start to see the real value of this pick. Shock Blast landing on target. Ow, that hurts. W's on target. If that had hit, that actually was very close to a kill. Might have forced a barrier out out of Garlet.
I say a flash EQ probably does him, actually. It won't happen there all the same. I appreciate the attempt. And again, the Voltaic Cyclone Sword is done for Jace, by the by. You may have noticed.
Yes, that one hurts a lot. And because Jace fires a Shock Blast fairly long cooldown, it means that when the second Shock Blast comes up, his second Voltaic proc is often up too, because it's an energized auto, right? It gives you... So it has base... 10 lethality, gives you 15 when you hit an ability or an auto attack on someone, because it's like an energized auto attack, like a fire cannon or a shiv, and that means that the Voltaic kind of goes wild for Jace specifically because it applies on every Shock Blast in an artillery poke situation.
And I think considering the game state, you really just need to none of this Edge of Night business. We are going to Cyrilda's. We are trying to hit people as hard as possible.
He might go Edge of Night third so he can stop the Bard ult from long range. That's probably what he will do. So he will do that at some point, I think so. I'm so sorry.
No, but he should do it. He should basically, you can do that for them. I just fear from the game state that they're in. Like, yes, there's a gold lead. No, they're not really. Like, I feel like that gold lead is a bit fake, and they really need JJ to just be dangerous. And the Cyrilda's help more than the Edge of Night.
And if he lands Shock Blast onto Gala, that is a huge factor for them. Onto Honkyu as well. If he manages to weave it beyond the front line onto the back line, there's a chance that the Nico can cause problems too. That's that chilling smite, and Ezreal stands there and delivers. That's the Shock Blast. That's half the HP with the Scorch Claw after.
Yeah, and the burn keeps going for a bit, and now Gala's just left there going, wait, what do I do with this? That's really obnoxious.
Well, and this is why you go for the healing boots. This is why you go Gluttonous Greaves. The red buff can also help you regen out of combat too, because it gives you that healing out of combat. So both Elk and Gala kind of dealing with that their own way, because the Caitlyn's poking out the Ezreal, the Jace is poking out the Caitlyn, and everyone's trying to heal up beyond that point. It's why Ravenous Hydra was so big too, actually, not Ravenous Hydra, Ravenous Hunter, rather, back when it was so big back in the day, because it just gave you that ability to kind of shrug off the occasional poke you'd find in meta at that point.
You what these longswords turn into? It will be that last whisper on longsword. God bless, I was right. I'm
just saying, Sam, if he gets hit by a Bard ult now, he's gonna die.
He will die a horrible death. You're absolutely right. And the Edge of Night is indeed valuable this game. You're not wrong. And you know, I don't disagree with the theory.
Okay, so 2 items for Elk, 2.5 for JJ. I mean, JJ has been so good for Weibo, and I think a lot of people have overlooked JJ too, because, you know, Weibo have not been winning very much in terms of series. JJ is still very much a very good jungler here in the LPL. Like I said, I think we have some of the very best junglers in the world here in the LPL, whether that's Tarzan or JJ or Junja or I was about to say Tarzan again, Shun, of course, in there too. Tarzan deserves a second notice.
He's rather good, yeah.
He's rather good. But right here, it does feel like JDG are just better at walking across the map. It's been a slow burn, but they do end up getting themselves all 3 out of turrets, whereas Weber just have the 1 right now in top lane. They'd really like to get some turrets to give themselves a bit more presence on the map, because now they're really at danger of the Bard and the Skarner terrain scaling, both coming through walls at once, and the Bard ultimate really catching them out.
Plan. So, 40 seconds until Dragon. I think Weibo at this point, their resets will have to have been considered done. We stay on the map, we try and get control, be in the river first once, rather than coming in later, because you want to be there with vision control, throwing out these nasty shot blasts, throwing up the 2-item Ezreal WQs, and trying to hit people like Gala and take them out of a fight before one can begin.
I do think that Zucker's in a real position to do some damage here too. He's had a very clean game on the Kassan save. See if Xiaoxu can get into the backline too. Again, we've noted that his Zahen's been really good points before. Elk's actually going to jump forwards because he's there. The Shock Blast very nearly lands. That could have been a dead Gala, Sam.
Q still lands from Elk and puts him a little lower than I think he would like. Jun just now going to look for Elk, but he doesn't manage to Arcane Shift away. Seismic Bastion on. The Shock Blast just wide there that time. TP from Zucker in with a big old shield. Dragon spawns in 3 seconds.
Gala's healed up a little bit. Does have the heal from Vampire to work with as well. He's going to regen up as best he can. JJ, these Shock Blasts have got to get some value. They're onto the Dragon first. Did say that Dragon fight's not been Weibo's specialty. Now we see JDG forcing their way into the river.
Elk's going to get jumped on. Will take a little bit of damage because he's not there, but Zucker now front line. He's got a big old shield though. Can still footwork out here. The True Shot Barrage tags a couple, but Xiao Xiao has his own shield to immune a fair amount of that damage. Dragon secured by JJ. Xiao who got left low though because he got Seismic Shove across the wall. Zucker in the front line will need to try and Realm Warp out with his fellow solo lane and will do so. Xiao Xiao eats an accelerated Shock Blast and loses about a third. Make that half of his HP bar across.
That was a good Realm Warp there. That was a good Realm Warp. That's a very clean extrication from the Dragon. Weibo get it. I think a lot of it was helped by the fact that Gala was chunked out so heavily. But you'll notice that I keep calling them cooldown boosts. The healing boosts, the Gluttonous Greaves, getting some really good value actually for him there. Just meaning that it doesn't have to be the end of the fight if he's poked out. Very importantly for him, he's managed to stack them up better than Elk has as well. For those of you that don't know, it's much like the Bloodthirster of old, where that's season 3, where you have to get kills to give yourself extra Omnivamp, and it stacks out at, I think in this patch, it's before the hotfix, or before the nerf, where you have to stack it like 10 times. Now it's just like 5 times to get up to the 10% Omnivamp, something close to that.
I'm not sure you do get to the max 10 anymore, do you? It nerfed the amount of healing. Don't you just have to flash out that Tempered Fate? Wish you had an Edge of Night now, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Either way, just get away. But here comes the Weave as well. Xiao, who gonna sort of get the Rune Prison onto Honku. Actually delays him coming in a little bit there. Good damage on that wall there. Looks for a shift forwards. Alex seeing some of those cooldowns being down, and they accelerated Shock Blast after leaves Honku at 10%.
Okay, so if JDG don't land the engage, the damage is there now from Weibo. And we were saying, well, the gold lead feels perhaps a bit flimsy for now. Now it feels pretty good. They're getting those second and third items in, of course, over the last few minutes. Another Shock Blast. The accuracy is pretty good. There goes Xiao Xiao, though.
Goes getting to that backline, the Grim Deliverance, but the Arcane Shift out, and now poor old Xiao Xiao having fun. He doesn't get his passive because he gets CC'd for too long on the flank. Xiao who gets dragged away, but not gone down. The body block from the clone is making Gala's life a little tricky. True Shot Barrage comes flying across, footwork away from the Seismic Shot.
I love how he had to Proto-Belt away from the damn Kasansei in melee range of him. Weibo, good damage again. The Shock Blasts are really hurting, but JJ dies. It's a 1-for-1. Xiaoxu gets full CC'd before he can get his passive off. Quite scary, actually, that JJ dies there, and I think that would have been a shutdown over to the Caitlyn. That's a problem, actually. That's some good damage. Good gold.
Going down, actually.
Me neither, but guess we'll see that in the replay. So the Hank gets his ultimate kind of immuned by the Kasante, but then Zuko has his doubly charged up already. So what happens to JJ? He gets combo. Again, Edge of Night value, Sam. If it had the flash, would have lived. Yeah. I'm just saying, it's a pretty good item in a game like this.
It is indeed. We'll see whether the Cyril does proves its value in the long term with the extra damage or not. Right now, cost 1 death. Theoretically, assuming it hadn't been blown beforehand, actually, because but we'll see, I suppose.
Yeah, but if it had been blown beforehand, you would have had the flash.
Well, but you had to blow it, yeah.
Exactly, that's where you had to blow it. Of course, well, actually, one of the problems with them going in Edge of Night now is that Proto-Belt's one of the best spell shield blowers in the game. Although, for Jace specifically, he's so long range, you're actually out range of Rocket Belt for a lot of the time. He's about to get himself his Cyrildas. Once he gets that in, he's going to really, really hurt even beyond what she has now.
Endless Hunger done for Elk. He's got a second tier stacking because obviously the Seraphs has become an additional item for Ezreal. It's something like 5th after the Cyrildas.
I actually think you should go at 4th here. Yeah, just go for it 4th. There's not a huge amount of armor, right? Because there's loads of Merc Treads. I mean, the Cyrildas is good for Jace because he's looking for like optimum damage there. But I think that Seraphs for the shield and the AP scaling, particularly with on this patch, the Cyrildas just completed by JJ there. If this game goes long, Ezreal with double tier absolutely slaps. I think that's a great build from Elk. It gives him the late game insurance.
That's the plan. May need to get there. Of course, got a minute and a half until the next dragon. 1400 gold lead to Weibo, but they don't have a lot of turrets to work with, making things a bit difficult.
Weibo should look for the poke in the next dragon, but not die for it. They can give one over, and if that allows them to get a double tier Ezreal for the actual dragon fight, which determines the game, which would be the one beyond this if they were to ignore this one, then I think Weibo actually have the advantage. Double tier Ezreal, for those of you who missed it in, was it 2020 or so that we started seeing that build come through? Utterly disgusting, because both the Muramana and the Seraphs end up scaling off of your total mana, which both of them have a huge amount from. You get a lot of AP, a lot of AD, you get a shield, and the mana on hit. It goes turbo into late game for an Ezreal, who's often been kind of pigeonholed in as a bit of a mid-game carry. This makes him into a much more late game threat.
JJ's already chunked Vampire a little bit beforehand. Shot blast just wide there. Again, part of that's just they're on vision right now. Dragon 30 seconds away. The Realm War behind. Gala's in danger. Needs to try and find his way out. Magical journey into the bit, but a flash on in from Zucker. The seismic shove finds a bit of time. The shockwave lands, but it's onto the best target. Junja gets kind of caught out mid-ult there and gets
Xiaohu!
Xiaohu's in danger in the back line. He's trying to blow up Gala. The overloads. JJ's killed off the Skada. Xiaohu's still surviving. Seismic shards flying around with the threaded volley, and Xiaohu survives. The footwork shield. Overloads complete.
Weibo just got 4 kills for none. They can get Dragon, they can get Baron, Sam, they can get whatever the hell they want to. That is a top tier Realm Warp. Xiaohu goes into the backline. I think it was 1v4, and he utterly explodes the backline. It was a really good initial pick off. The Realm Warp ended up getting Gala, over the wall. That was the first initial Realm Warp. But he just goes into the backline around the flank, flashes in, and goes man mode. Well, watch this again. This is the first Realm Warp here. Brings the Cassante into the play as long as himself. Behind Gala, puts him into an awful position. He has flash, it just doesn't matter. Watch Xiaohu here now. Not only does he blast gun, not only does he do that, Sam, he then flashes into the backline. 1v4. Name another player that does this. Old man Xiaohu's still got hands, Sam, and he's definitely got balls.
Yeah, gets some essence flux and some overloads across the crew. All the while, of course, JJ left a big amount of damage onto Xiaoshu. Junja dropped on the Skarner, and Xiao, even with a little bit of assistance there from Zucker, who also had a great fight on this Cassante, does wonderful, wonderful work.
That is one of my favorite Ryze plays I've ever seen. Just blast cone flashes into the back of it. Now, Weibo need to not throw out this dragon fight. They don't want to die here. They want to use their Baron buff. If the fight is not easy to come by, back off and use the Baron buff instead.
They're up 5,500 gold, and they did get the resets off. They've got a lot of gold to work with at this point. Out comes that shot blast onto Gala.
That's scary as hell. Gala needs to hit a wave now. He's heading back into mid lane, so he needs to regen. He's trying to get that now, and that means JDG will sound the retreat. Shock blast wins the fight for them. Sam, the Jace jungle, I thought it was dead and buried. I thought it was gone. But JJ is proving that it does have some niche applications now. Now, we did say, look, if Weibo didn't want to take that dragon fight, they shouldn't take it. They did. They were rewarded for it. And now they've managed to double down and win, because Elk is going to get himself to double tier for the next dragon. And even if JDG win it, they're still going to be able to be at a point where they go hyper late game. The Actualizer is in for Ryze. Elk is getting a turbo fed into the late game, and Weibo, Sam, they should be favorites to win this game.
Yeah, they should.
This is just such a Weibo thing to do. Somehow, in against any team you name it, in the LPL week after week, look uncoordinated, looking like a mess. Switch out like their support once again for the Hank, who's not been playing particularly well, honestly, and still somehow beat one of our top teams in the LPL. Weibo Gaming, consistently inconsistent.
Wonderful work. Elk managed to shift away. They did get taken pretty low, but he's beginning to sting now as well. And the Endless Hunger will help keep him topped up is what I'm looking for, alongside the Gluttonous Greave. Zucker shoving in mid lane. You said, hey, I wonder whether this Cassante could prove to be a bit of a menace. Has been. They have not dealt with the Cassante full sending. They haven't been able to close the distance on the poke, and the poke has genuinely been dangerous.
It has done. Welcome back, Len, by the way. Great to see you. Hope you're enjoying your time here, as this has been a great series. If you've missed this series, folks, catch back up with it. It's a Weibo classic where they just turn up and have some great gameplay out of nowhere. JJ's had an excellent series. His game one was game saving. Elk will flick himself away from the flick. It's a flash forwards is met with a flash from Elk as well.
Looking for it, but the dreaded return really is just a dreaded return to sender. Apparently the Hank has to flash away. Perhaps be a little bit shy at, no puns intended, and gets away safely. Not had the easiest game here on the Nico, but again, it's not really been about the kills for Weber, it's just been about the damage.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually think at this point the Bardols haven't been good enough. I know that he's 202, but Vampire's been missing the key targets. He could have hit Elk without Flash and E there, and he goes for the Hank instead. If he'd gone for Elk, I wonder whether they could win that fight there.
Yeah.
I think that Vampire's target selection with these ults has been not great. I know he's 202, the laning phase was fine too. I need to see better ults from him, Sam.
I think I just need to have a bit of a wider conversation, actually, because Xiaoshu as well. I mean, we saw that flash play didn't really work. Where are the flank plays from the Skarner or the Talir? You've got Weaver's Wall, you've got the Ixtars in, but you can come from odd angles, at least force a Realm Warp here or there. That's not been happening. They've just been sitting in a front to back and taking skill shots.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and again, like, for this game, like, criminal number one for JDG is probably Xiaoshu, who's done very little on the Zarhen. Yeah. And then you've got someone like Junja, who I think has just been prey to the fact that JDG's got really fed. I don't blame him too much. I think he's done pretty fine. And then, realistically, the problem I have with Vampire is not that he's having, quote-unquote, a bad game. It's just that he has the agency to win this game with his ult, and he's not done it. And that's been a big problem for him. So, again, it's trying to be nuanced here. I'm trying to be fair about this. I think that Vampire could have hits and game-winning ults, and they haven't hit now, and we're getting to the point where, you know, the Archangels that's in for Elk, He's stacking that up towards the Seraph's Embrace. If he gets that stacked up before the next big fight, we're going to see some turbo late game Ezreal damage.
We were a little bit nervous about Weibo and their poor Dragon setups, the fact that they've been late to them, actually the fact that these last few have been very good, they've been able to get there first and throw down a lot of damage, and now they're just going to play from miles away and just keep raining down the artillery, the barrage, the shelling continues, and the structures of JDG are the ones that are suffering.
Yeah, I'm very close. One more skill away from Elk getting that hang on. They're looking for a fight now. Junja bot back. Zucker very tanky too. A real credit to Zucker. This Cassante has been very hard to deal with. The flex of the taking the Jace and the Cassante, so JDG didn't have either of them to use. Realmwarp's going to come back out. It's actually not a bad denial actually with the Bard ultimate. It's fine. Okay, Seraph's is online. Next time, someone's going to have to spy it out in the bottom left-hand corner to see how much AP he's gotten from just the single AP item. I reckon it'll be... well, near enough 100 and some or other, right?
It's because he's got double mana crystal,
exactly,
right? Or double tier, right? It's going to be a lot of extra mana scaling.
So he has about, from items, because each of them gives, what, 300 and something mana extra? 360 mana extra on top of the base. They had give, I think it's 540 mana, both of them. So you have 1,000 mana extra-ish from both those items. And then you get, like, 8%. I think it's like 3% or 4% into AP or AD. From both those items, actually, it's pretty similar between the two of them. It's kind of mad, actually. So Dragon's up in a minute. It would be Sol for Weibo. As we said, for this Dragon, it was going to be Elk with a double tier. He has completed that in time. And while he's not been the main character, I think this fight is where we see the late game Ezreal really pop off if he gets any chance to free hit.
Jason, I got the Edge of Night and an extra Dirk by the bias.
No, it's a good item, Sam.
It is indeed. It is indeed. And again, he's going to be a lot harder to pick off now as well. The value in general of this point in the build is very strong. There's not very many people who are going to deal with that at all. Death Stance done for Xiaoshu. Maybe he finally has enough stats to stand and deliver here. Grimly, but Vampire certainly doesn't.
Hang on, that's going to be literally half the HP away from Vampire. Spell Shield remains intact. All right, let's have a look at Ezreal when he starts to actually land some of this damage here. Hasn't hit a skill shot yet. Shock Blast goes through Junja a little bit there. There you go. Good damage. That's about a third of the HP from that. That's big damage. Yeah, Ezreal, late game. It hurts, folks.
Another shot blast available to come on forward. Xiao who gets hit by the ace in the hole. That's something. It's really not the end of the world here. It would only be sole point for JDG. Xiao will Aureate rush over the wall. Elk looking. The Weaver's wall is down, but the Dragon's kind of on the wrong side of it. And Zucker's still messing with Xiaoshu. Can get a bit more of a path maker forwards. Oh, okay, Shipper still got caught by the Tempered Fate. Weird timing on that one. The buffer leaves Elk in a horrible spot. Good damage on the Vampire. They've lost a lot, but still the damage keeps on going forwards. And Xiao who flashes on in with the Essence Flux and the Overload. And they blow up the team regardless. Elk with a weird interaction falls, but 4 make that 5 members of JDG fall regardless.
Elk dies, but it won't matter, Sam. They get the Dragon, they get the team fight, and ladies, gentlemen, and everyone else, Weibo Gaming, we present to you the most inconsistent team in history. Or at least within the LPL. We've got a couple of contenders. Weibo will win the series 2-1 on JDG Beijing home ground.
Oh, they're consistent in one thing and one thing only, and that is being inconsistent. What a team. What a fun watch. Then and NIP have been fighting for the title this split. But right now, JDG look at this and go, their dreams of second place have just slipped away.
JDG, with this loss, will be in much tighter contention going into second place into playoffs. With this loss, I believe they end up going just below anyone's legend in terms of game score at +4, which means that anyone's legend at +5 will just about slip ahead of them to third, with Top Esports being in second. Last game of the split for JDG will be versus Invictus Gaming. They're definitely a team which has had some struggles here and there. Anyone's legend will face up against BLG, as will Top Esports. So it's still likely that JDG claims second, but with an upset here or there, and BLG playing a couple of games back-to-back against top teams, we've seen stranger happenings here in the LPL. Weibo, what a team, Sam. They will catch you off guard any day of the week. A wonderful team on their day. It gave us a lot of questions, Sam. That's no doubt. Weibo walk away 2-1, and JDG, it's another game where we're wondering what the heck happened.
We are. But the Jace Flex work, that's great news for Weibo, because it means they suddenly have another way to get JJ to a point of power. I suspect he'll be becoming the player of the series, folks. He had a really good showing today on the whole. Great game 1, great game 3. Might even be in contention, honestly, for MVP of this game in general, even if it does go towards someone a bit more like Xiao, who also had an excellent showing on that.
Now, you might be wondering who we are, and again, if you've filtered in over the day, welcome. We hope you're enjoying yourselves. My name's Alex, this is Sam, Nymaera Initialise. We're actually brothers. We've cast professional League of Legends on main broadcast for a very long time now. At this point, we've cast on the LEC since 2022, LPL since 2023. You might have seen us there across the different regions over the couple of years as well, including EMEA Masters if you enjoy your tier 2 things as well. Now, broadcast work is very hard to come by right now, so we're doing it on stream instead. And we just decided, you know what? If you enjoy it, maybe you'll donate something and we can keep on doing this. Now, if we get enough numbers on the stream, this becomes our job. We're very lucky to have that be a lot of our JA job right now. I know we're brothers. I know it's crazy, right? It's crazy.
I know.
But if you do have any extra bandwidth, just drop a like, follow, subscribe. Tune in. If you enjoy LPL, come hang out here. We'd love to have you. We really enjoy having you as part of a community. I think this is, you know, the best part of the LPL community, and we're very proud to have you here alongside this. We really enjoy having you here. In fact, like we said, we do pay attention to chat, and if you say something good, we're like, oh yeah, this guy mentioned this in chat, this person mentioned that in chat, it's good stuff. Like we had that with the Nico clone and clearing the traps. I didn't think about that, and then, you know, someone over in YouTube chat mentioned that. It's really cool to have you alongside us for the ride. We're not going to pretend that we know everything. We appreciate you helping us out with that too. We really thank you for joining us today. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. I wouldn't be able to do this without Sam, my brother.
Appreciate it.
I know the channel's in my name. It's our channel. It's paying for both our rent, so it's basically
Genuinely,
both our
yes.
channel. And we do appreciate everyone. Also on Anivia stream as well, we restream over to Anivia, and the viewers there, we get half the proceeds from live stream there as well. I see you arguing about BDD, Chovy, and a bunch of other mid laners there. As long as you're respectful in chat, just keep away at it. My view on that is that Chovy was the best mid laner, but BDD was the best mid laner against Chovy, so then that kind of pipped it in some important matches.
So it was a specific
So it's like,
matchup,
if you look at the stats, Chovy was so good against everyone but BDD. Now, BDD was quite clearly second beyond that point too. But if you looked at Chovy versus the field and BDD versus the field, I think that Chovy was better versus the field, but BDD was better versus Chovy, and that's where the difference got made. That's my take on it, but as long as you're respectful, chat about as much as you will.
And Chovy has won some international. Like, do MSIs not count to you?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, like I grant you that Worlds is always that one that everyone goes, you know what, that's the one that really matters. But
Yeah.
I'd argue that MSI is the harder tournament.
Yeah. Well, LPL Reddit commenters have been waiting for this opportunity to trash talk about Honku. Now, I really don't want to see people dunking on Honku for the split. Now, this was Honku's worst series of the split.
I agree.
I'm not going to disagree with that. Now, if you're going to dunk on him for this series, you are valid in doing so. I think Honku had his worst series of the split here. Xiaohu is very good, and I know that people dunk on Xiaohu a lot. You've got to give him his praise for this one too. Now, it's valid to say Honku had a bad split series, but he's had a great split. He's still clearly second best mid laner within the LPL. He's smashed Shanks, he's smashed Cream, and he's been a big part of JDG winning their series this split, despite some of the inconsistencies. But you got to call him out for this series. Honku was not great. I think in terms of saying weakest player, probably Xiaoshu, actually. I think both solo lanes underperformed today, sadly for them. And Weibo, I'm actually not really sure how they won that, besides the fact that JJ played really well in their wins. It didn't, I can't boil it down to any one reason. It wasn't like Weibo just, oh, they just out-macroed them. Oh, they just out-team fought them. It wasn't quite as easy as that. I think you could point to some things in the draft, but I think the solo lane diff was legitimately really big in this series, which I didn't expect at all.
Like, I think Xiaoxi was kind of invisible, bluntly, which is, I mean, the Renekton game was good, but like the other two games, what did Xiaoxi make any big plays, really? I couldn't really point to a lot there. I think Zaka played a pretty solid game. The Sion was fine. The Kastante was actually very good. I think Xiaohu really turned up today in a way that Honku kind of struggled a bit more. Jonju was kind of fine, actually. There was some good plays from him. The Lee Sin was solid.
Yeah.
Actually, the Neferi had some good kills. This last game was tough, but like, what do you do as a Skarner post a certain point? But I do think they just hit this point where they struggled to have an answer to the discipline that Weibo held around those objectives. They just got a lot of poked out, and JJ and Elk, the numbers show it.
And considering that Weibo have lost so many games through objectives, that's got to feel really good. Because they actually won through dragon fights this time. Mostly. I mean, they had that one lost one, right? I think that the Hank, I still don't think is very good. However, if this is what it takes for JJ to play better, it might still be better for them in the long run, despite the fact that the Hank individually is kind of throwing laning phase under the bus and losing a lot of big fights in the mid game. If it helps JJ in whatever way, JJ's
So
great.
be it. Yeah.
I think actually we are at the point where we say so be it, actually. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, interesting series. Sam, you planning on streaming?
I would, but I've actually got social plans if you're going to play some Magic, but it's on
wonderful.
the other side of town, so
Okay,
I'd only be able to get an hour or so, and that feels a little bit limited.
Once again, thank you for everyone that came over from both Kenren and Macaria's streams. We really appreciate you and your parts of the community as well. We try and raid over to you when we can as well. Thanks for raiding back. It does make a big difference to us. We had some really good numbers today because of that. It's really cool. Both on Nivea as well. If you're watching on Nivea or on Twitch or on YouTube, it makes a big difference to us, and we hope that you've enjoyed our little storytelling today. I've been trying to focus a bit more on the storytelling recently because I realized I've just been kind of sat and vibing a little bit more, which is fine. But as someone who's been here for so many of the stories from LPL, I figured that's where I'm best placed, really. I hope you've enjoyed that, folks. Right. Wait, we're still talking about... Look, okay, so there are some points where I think that Chovy absolutely did choke Worlds. I think 22 was not good for him. 23 was... I mean, look, 24 was not on him, and 25 there was like the one game of the Orianna which was really bad, but besides that, I think he was actually a lot better. I think there's nuance to it, right? And this is the thing. Like, in fact, actually, I can twin this into the like the chat which is happening in YouTube chat right now about post-match threads kind of dunking on Honky when he underperforms. And like, I think that a lot of people don't really want the nuance because you can't type the nuance in like a single sentence. You got to put out a paragraph or more, right? And attention spans and whatever aren't very allowing of that. Now, for instance, like I said, I don't think Vampire had the game he needed to have in this game. I think that Vampire should have won them this game with Bard Ultimate. Was he the worst player on this team? No, of course not. I think that Xiaoshu and Honky both had pretty bad series. And this game 3 wasn't great from them. However, I think that Vampire had the agency to make the difference and he didn't do it. So, like, I blame Vampire less, but I think he had the most agency, and I think maybe in another world he could have potentially made the difference, and sadly, he didn't from JDG. Of course, you can't expect perfection from JDG all the time. They have a lot of players which are on different kinds of forms. And then, of course, with Honky, you know, like, yeah, he had a bad series, but he's had a great split, so you can't completely blast him, right, for all of that. Okay, folks, we're probably going to head off now, so thank you. Well, hang on. Do you want to stick around for... How many viewers we got? Okay. We're probably going to radio over to someone. Normally, I'd stick around for the post-game interview, but to be honest, I really just need to get out of my chair and actually need to, like, sit up stuff.
I'm kind of hitting burnout a little bit
myself. Yeah. So tomorrow, let's check out the matchups we have tomorrow. We have... let's scroll down to it. We have Ultra Prime versus OMG, which is... Guys, that is legitimately very important. OMG, if they win, they don't save themselves, but Ultra Prime will have a chance at survival, and then we have Top Esports BLG. Now, okay, we'll stick around for the interview because it's here, and then we'll let you go.
首先是恭喜微博2-1战胜了京东，也完成了他们对于第一轮的一个复仇。同时呢，收官战也是圆满的完结了。我们邀请到的是打野选手杰杰，先跟大家打个招呼吧。
大家好，我是 WBG 打野杰杰。
欢迎杰杰。哇，今天的龙之子不负盛名啊！首先想问一下，鏖战3局之后获胜的一个心情是怎么样的呢
？3局非常艰难的赢下来，并且今天发挥不错的情况下，觉得非常的开心和兴奋吧。
其实我们看的也非常的过瘾啊。首先这个赛段虽然有些许的坎坷，但是收官阶段拿到了一个3连胜，非常出色。想问一下，状态回暖主要是取决于哪些因素呢？
在前面失利之后，可能下面做了很多调整吧，也包括就是人员的更换，也有一点，包括心态上也要调整很多。
是各方面都有一个调整，确实调整的这个效果还是非常不错的。回到今天的比赛，第一局呢前期对线是劣势的，也是通过杰杰频的抢龙稳住了局势。那中路是抓住一波对方的这个机会，拿下了水龙魂，一气呵成，瞬间起势。当时那波团是怎么去抓住对方的破绽，怎么去沟通设计的呢？
可能团战比较混乱吧，但是我打野的立场会更加专注于那个龙的血量，去尝试去拼城赢下。
是的，更加坚定的去拼城了。确实呢，在拼城这个块，确实杰杰是没有输过的，后面没有失手。在远古龙是一锤定音，终结掉比赛。其实我们统计一个数据，我觉得至少是2条大龙2条小龙，但是呢，杰杰是说他抢到的是1条大龙1条小龙，也是非常夸张的一个数据了，不负龙之子的一个盛名。想问一下，你是怎么做到能够在劣势局，不管是心态啊还是操作上，每次都能够精准的去把握这个抢龙的时机的呢？
就没有什么很大的道理，就是3个字：靠感觉。
靠感觉，就是手感太好了，总是能非常精准的找准这个出手的瞬间啊。那其实今天的第2局呢，虽然说有点可惜，但是大家的调整能力还是非常强的。在决胜局的时候，其实前中期还是比较焦灼的。那在炼金龙团的时候，我记得当时的落位拉扯完成的很出色，也是断掉了京东的一个节奏。你自己觉得在第3局的一个关键的破局点是哪一波呢？或者是哪个时间点，你觉得你们是稳稳去拿下这局比赛了？
那波龙团我们抓到嘎啦女警，就是上门的那一瞬间吧，当时就是那波团赢下来之后，就觉得这把能拿下大龙就有机会赢了。
是的，主要是按住了一个发育的非常好的一个女警，那么把后期他们的节奏也是断了。而且我觉得第3局杰斯发挥的也很出色，大家的这个 poke 阵容可以说是发挥了奇效，最终也是拿下了比赛的一个胜利嘛。那你觉得这场比赛赢下京东之后，对于大家的一个士气有哪些影响呢
？3连胜，剑指骑士之路吧。
剑指骑士之路，可以好好准备接下来的一个比赛了。那有没有说提前去研究一下之后的这个对手或者比赛内容呢？
肯定会去研究一下吧。不过现在好像还不知道要打谁。
是的，不管是谁的话，就严阵以待。那如果说想要晋级到季后赛，你觉得队伍还有哪些进步的空间呢？调整的空间？
很多吧，就是我们虽然赢了3连胜，但是还是有很多不足需要我们去调整。
保持现在的这个手感以及现在的一个气势，好好迎接接下来的一个比赛啊。那最后一个问题，其实今天在第1局惊天大翻盘的一瞬间呢，我们现场的粉丝们都沸腾了。那现在也是算给大家吃了一颗定心丸嘛，组内赛也是算圆满的一个收官了。最后有什么话想要对我们的现场或者线上的观众们说的吗？
就微博一定会回来的，
微博一定会回来的。而且我们组内赛最后的3场比赛，确实感觉大家也是稳中向好的，也期待你们后续一个发挥。再次恭喜你们获胜，也感谢杰杰选手接受我的采访。那么本场的赛后采访就到这里，让我们把时间交给解说席。
Okay, folks, well, okay, since we stuck around for the interview, we may as well stick around for the player of the game and the player series. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. We'll radio over to someone just after that. Okay, yeah, folks, again, I know I said this before, but if you're going to debate about stuff, be respectful about it. Again, this is a place for debate, as long as you respect each other and don't, go for the throat, whatever. Not that I've been able to pay attention to all of it, but, yeah. Just be respectful about it. Again, I'm okay with that kind of conversation. I'll weigh in occasionally, but, you know. Yeah, so just all good. Yeah. It's all good. I mean, again, I understand that it's a very kind of you know, stuff like Chovy and GENG. I understand that there are big narratives around that. I understand that. You are valid in your opinion, in having an opinion, right? I might disagree with it, but let's just be respectful about it for sure. Xiao, who gets player of the game. I mean, his rise was really good. That big ball flash into the backline into 1v4 was insane. Weibo won. Yeah, they did. As soon as you don't expect anything of a Weibo, they're the best team in the bloody LPL, aren't they? Crazy, isn't it? And then player of the series. God, who do you give player of the series to now? Probably JJ still. Probably JJ. The guy's good. It'll be JJ still. So let's wait for player of the match, and then we'll go MVP robbery. Look, okay, JJ was really good, but he flushed in 1v4 into the backline, and there was 3 votes for jungle anyway. Okay, I'm just saying. Oh god, I'm sorry, Isolite. I'm sorry. Ginger lost 3 dragons and 1 baron in the first game. Look, smite fights are smite fights. The fact that they allowed it to go into a smite fight was like that was the problem, really. Player on the match, JJ, no surprises there. He was really good. I mean, look, Xiaohu Aura Farm with a flash in 1v4 into the backline. Shit was crazy. Okay, folks, I really appreciate you all. I'm going to find someone to radio over to if you're on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, the show will end here. Really appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you for raiding over Macaria and Kenren as well, and everyone from the community as well. I doubt that they're actually watching in here right now because they tend to head off after streams. I do the same. But if anyone who's in from Kenren and Macaria's stream, if you could give them my thanks next time they're live as well, and next time you're in their stream, I'd really appreciate that. Let's go find someone to raid over to. Let's have a think. You know what? I'm going to send you over to Don Jake. He started streaming again, so I hope go enjoy Don Jake. He'll be playing some solo queue. He's a great bloke, and if you're on YouTube, I will show will end here. Appreciate you all. See you in a bit. Bye-bye.